Air Force One plane using a catering truck and then boarded another military plane. Here's ABC's Martha Raddatz.
The White House neither confirmed nor denied the Post reporting, saying in a statement the new Air Force One is a state-of-the-art aircraft that has been fitted with high-level security protocols that ensure the safety of the president and his staff. As the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have their sights on him, and we use every tool at our disposal to address those threats.
In Seattle, new scrutiny on how authorities communicated with the public during last month's deadly mass shooting at a food festival.
Leadership in Seattle has been criticized for their lack of communication with the media and public in general as a mass shooting unfolded late last month at the Bite of Seattle Food Festival. Seattle's police chief was forced to resign, and now the mayor is asking Seattle's inspector general to conduct an after-action review of public communication to identify delays in communicating public information and recommend improvements for future critical incidents.
ABC's Alex Stone.
ABC News.
You're listening to ABC News. You're listening to ABC.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
These days, heading back to school means more than pencils and notebooks. It means laptops, tablets, online accounts, and a lot of personal information moving across the internet. WebRoot Total Protection gives families powerful online defense tools with antivirus, VPN, cloud backup, identity protection, and more, helping keep your digital life secure throughout the school year and beyond. Go to webroot.com/radio and get 60% off today. That's webroot.com/radio for 60% off. Live a better digital life with WebRoot, because peace of mind shouldn't be optional.
More women are being forced to drive longer distances in order to deliver their babies. That according to a new March of Dimes study. Small towns being hit the hardest. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
Of the nearly 100 labor and delivery units forced to close in the past 2.5 years, more than half were the sole birthing facility in that county. While it's the smallest communities being hit, those communities are often in the most populous states. The result, according to March of Dimes, 1 in 4 American women aren't receiving prenatal care during the first trimester of pregnancy.
A recall going out for one of the world's most popular vehicles.
Toyota is recalling certain recent versions of the Camry over concerns the instrument cluster could fail when starting the car, knocking out power to things like the hazard lights and the seatbelt reminder. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says this increases the risk of a crash. More than 500,000 of the popular sedans are being recalled from the 2025 and 2026 model years. Toyota says it'll notify owners by September 21st, and that dealers will fix the issue through a software update. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A Maine lifeguard is speaking out after he says a great white shark dragged him 6 feet underwater. Greg Wilford works at the Scarborough Beach and was on shark patrol when he says something grabbed the rescue buoy and that's strapped to his body and pulled.
Once I realized that it wasn't a boat, I was fighting for my life.
Amazingly, Wilford was unhurt. He also ran out and closed the beach. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
Weather sponsored by H&K Group Incorporated.
The hot and humid air mass remains in place for one more day across the region. It'll be partly sunny with a chance for a shower or storm later today with a high of around 90. For tonight's shower and storm chance this evening, otherwise partly cloudy. Low 74 for the city, a bit cooler in the suburbs. And then for Wednesday, partly sunny, not as humid, with a high 88.
Start your new career with H&K Group Incorporated. H&K Group wants to offer you the opportunity to be part of the industry leader. 80 locations across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Visit hkgroup.com and apply today. H&K does not discriminate.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Two different things here. If you're going on vacation with a bunch of adults and you want to have the, those evenings where you're at the shore outdoor house, have a little fire pit or whatever. But if you're just taking your kids for like a 4-day, 3-night vacation to insert whatever beach town, aren't you supposed to be out at the beach or at the pool or on the boardwalk most of the day? Whatever happened to just finding something that's affordable, you're going to maybe take a nap at, you're going to sleep at, and you're going to go in and get a shower? Like, why are you spending $10,000 on something that you're going to spend like 5% of your vacation time in? It seems like a poor investment.
Have you ever been to the Jersey Shore?
He clearly has.
Yeah.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app. WPHT, WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Piazza Auto Group Studios, experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Free speech lives here. Lives here. The WPHT Afternoon Show.
When you want the best that there is, when you want the best in the entire biz, there's a name the stations call you sure to like. It's America's host, and his name is Mike.
Stunt brain, that is.
You've heard him before, and you'll hear him again. Everyone knows him when he hosts on 1210.
And welcome to Tuesday. How are you? You look great. You look great. DeSantis, you look incredibly good today. I don't know what's going on. And Justin, you got a lot of sleep last night. You look spectacular as well.
I think I'm having a good hair day.
Are there days that you get up and you're thinking, God, I don't want to go to work, but my hair looks so good. I have to walk around the office.
Yeah, sometimes I get bummed that I'm not on television. I'm just on the radio.
Well, I can tell you that reality never happens to me, as you could tell. I was talking to Justin before the show, and if you're watching the YouTube channel, you can see. Yeah, my hairline has been crawling backwards. I suffer from what is known as premature cojaculation. Those of you who are fans of 1970s television detective series will understand the comedy there. Anyway, welcome to Primary Tuesday, Presidential Joke Tuesday. Yes, this is the day that there's an entire list of what is today in terms of the day. And I always check it out because I'm going, something's got to be interesting on today is what day. And today is Presidential Joke Tuesday, which is really kind of an interesting Presidential Joke Day. It's also National Son and Daughter Day, and I don't have either. If you do have a son and or a daughter, I hope you have let them know how proud you are of them. I hope you can be proud of them. It's also National Panini Day. Damn, I was going to have a panini for lunch, and I forgot. And it's Hip Hop Day, which this is really interesting because Hip Hop Day, and that started like back in the 70s, and then the Brizonks, I think that's how they say it up in New York. 1973, hip-hop was born at a party in the Bronx. A DJ kind of introduced everybody to what hip-hop is. And today is the beginning of the trial, the murder trial, of the guy they believe killed Tupac Shakur. And I feel like I have to call him Tupac. I'm not cool enough to call him Pac. I don't know if you ever have any friends who are like into the hip-hop thing. I'm not heavily into hip-hop. But they always refer to Tupac with reverence, and they call him Pac. Pac was killed. But it's 30 years. That went by really quick. DeSantis, what were you, 6 when Tupac died, or 4, or something like that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would have been, yeah. I always assumed that it was P. Diddy or like Suge Knight, because that was the theory that was going around when I was like a kid. I guess it wasn't either of them.
So you're in daycare and they're teaching the Tupac trial. It came up in the daycare center. Justin wasn't around for
that. Daycare. But.
Yeah, I was -2 when Pac died.
I'm amazed at this, though. This is a story. We're going to get into it at 5:30. Our good friend and prosecutor, career prosecutor, Wendy Patrick, is going to talk to us about a couple of things. The Tupac trial, because I'm a little fascinated by how this went 30 years. And the gentleman accused is saying, of course he's innocent. Of course, everybody in prison is innocent. If you've ever talked to anyone in prison, they're all innocent. We'll talk with Wendy about that. And yesterday, Casey was talking about some food outlet that refused to take cash, right? Do you guys remember? I forgot. I heard Casey talking about it yesterday. Some food outlet said, no, we're only going to take cards now. We don't want your stinking cash. And I immediately sent a note to our friend Wendy Patrick saying, is this legal? Can they do this? So we will get into it because I am a large proponent, a loud proponent, and I'm also large too, of carrying cash as I reach into my pocket and I show you some of the many 20s I carry with me at all times. I'm a big fan of cash. I think it's important to keep using cash. Do I use cards? Yes. I do. Would I prefer just use cash? Yeah, because I'm mindful of what I spend when I spend cash. So we'll get into that at 5:30 with Wendy. We'll talk the Tupac trial and a couple other crazy stories. But I want to talk about the cash thing because I'm a gigantic believer that we have to save cash. If digital currency is all there is, you have lost control. Now, some will say we've lost control already, and we'll go back to the flock camera discussion today as well because there's more stuff on that. Interesting topic that came up in Dom's last hour. We may get to it. The Trump administration stopping gender transition on kids. I thought we had done that. I thought we had already kind of done that, and I'm happy if it's going to be official. So we will see. Paula Scanlon's going to join us to talk a little bit more about the WNBA and the recent attention to the men who've decided that they want to point out how ridiculous the WNBA is. Ennis Cantor Freedom and the other cat who said they've declared themselves eligible for the WNBA draft. I think myself, Justin, and DeSantis are all going to declare as well, right? We could probably get away with it. They only play half the year or less, and maybe we pick up a little extra cash.
I still think
emphasis on the little, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I still might not be good enough to contend. I might go undrafted.
Well, I have an outside shot. I'm hampered by gravity these days.
You got height though. You're a tall guy.
I'm 6 feet on a 6'1" on a good day. If I had a good night's sleep, I'm 6'1". If I could get my nephew to declare, he's 7 feet tall, Riley. I think he's going to be a little busy with tennis next year. I'm just saying. But we'll talk to Paula Scanlon about that because she certainly knows a thing or two about sports and the infiltration of men into women's sports. That's coming up at 3:30. And it's primary day in a whole bunch of places, not here in Pennsylvania, but that doesn't mean we should be ignorant, as they say in the hood, about the primaries. We should be aware of what's going on in the primaries. There are primaries in Wisconsin. You've heard about the crazy Hong lady who wants to get rid of Thanksgiving and Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, and she's very aware of how close she is to white privilege because she has a son that's half white, which is just the dumbest thing she's ever said. And she said a lot of dumb stuff. There are primaries in Minnesota. In Minnesota, where there's an open seat as Tina Smith is retiring in the Senate. Interesting. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. And there's a primary for the Republican slot on the gubernatorial ticket, and the My Pillow guy is running for that. And am I the only one who thinks the My Pillow guy is just a little too much of a goofball to be elected governor? I say that, and people get really mad at me. Mike Lindell is his name. He's a guy who turned his life around after having a whole bunch of addictions, and then he built a very successful company. and made a whole bunch of money and then spent a whole bunch more money and was very loyal to President Trump. And the My Pillow guy is running. Now, he's leading the Republican primary based on the polling, but it's not like he's got a massive lead. He's sitting around 34 to 35%, and there's a couple other people in the race. So I'm just one of the people that thinks the My Pillow guy needs to keep selling the pillows and the towels and maybe not keep it the crazy. Just saying. Throwing that out there. South Kakalaki has a Republican Senate primary. Lindsey Graham's sister, favored by President Trump. I really think that was a bad idea, but that's me. And she is favored to win because she's got the Trump nomination or the Trump endorsement. But you've got Ralph Norman and Russell Fry, our main challengers in that. And DeSantis, do you know who was the guy? Was it Sanford, Mark Sanford? He was the guy who was governor, and he ran off with a mistress to hike the Appalachian Trail. Remember the air quotes with my fingers. Is he in the South Carolina primary as well? Do you know?
I believe he is, yeah.
I don't know how you ever come back from that. He was the governor, took off with his side piece, and went to South America, told everybody he was going hiking on the Appalachian Trail. He wasn't even in the country. Gets caught, resigns in disgrace, then gets elected to Congress, and now he's going to try and win this. It's amazing. And there's one in Connecticut, a couple of seats in Connecticut, and a Vermont primary, and Alabama has some special primaries for House districts. We are going to get Jenny Beth Martin to join us. Jenny Beth Martin, I remember from the earliest days of the Tea Party, and we will talk to Jenny Beth Martin about that at length. But today being Presidential Joke Day, who was the funniest president? Anybody? 855-839-1210. Who was the funniest president? You could probably make a case for almost every president that you liked in your lifetime as the funniest president. And Trump says a lot of things that make a lot of people laugh, but is he funny the way Reagan was funny? Is he funny the way George W. Bush was funny? Is he funny the way Obama was funny? Who's the funniest president? DeSantis, who's your funniest president? Have you thought about this?
I think the best at telling jokes is probably Ronald Reagan. The funniest in general, just naturally, doesn't need a pre-written joke. It's probably Donald Trump. He makes me laugh at least once every press conference.
I think Trump makes me laugh because he's honest. He'll suddenly he'll just say whatever's on his mind, and you're like, damn, I was thinking that too. That person's a jerk.
I was going to say, there's also a great Calvin Coolidge joke that I'm sure you heard. He was at a dinner, and a woman supposedly told him she'd bet someone that she could get more than 2 words out of him. Obviously, he was famous for being a man of few words. His nickname was Silent Cal.
Yes.
And he responded to the woman, "You lose." 2 words, so obviously didn't get the 3rd word, and she didn't win her bet.
No, she didn't win the bet, and we obviously have no video of that. Because Silent Cal was in a very silent era. Just say it. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, Trump. I have a Trump soundboard that just has all kinds of Trump sounds. So yeah, you're pretty good. Donald Trump I could reach up and hit any of the buttons.
Wrong.
He just says
You are fake news.
I've got all kinds of Trump stuff.
Don't be rude.
It's all there. So Trump, naturally funny. Reagan, good point. Reagan is very skilled in the comedic arts. And as said, today is Presidential Joke Day. President Joke Day, as Ronald Reagan was preparing for a weekly radio address. And the president would make the weekly radio address, and it was also posted on video, and he would get all dressed up in a suit and tie and go to the office and sit in front of the cameras. And when you're doing this, just like we get ready for the show here, we test the mics, we test the cameras. DeSantis was in there adjusting the lights seconds before the show because things were looking crazy in the studio. But Reagan you get sick and tired of going check 1, 2. Wow, yeah, here we are. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. So on this very special August 11th, back in the day, Ronald Reagan doing a mic check and said this.
I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes.
It started an international uproar. You heard the people in the room laughing. The technicians were like, "Oh, Roddy, cut it out, man." They knew he was screwing around. Well, that little mic check went global, and 2 days later, Russia tried to turn it into an international incident. The Soviets went bat crap crazy, and it ended up being a whole bunch of noise. And Tom Brokaw had his drawers in a bunch. Everybody was upset. And it's a joke, people. It's a joke. The president was joking. You can't take a joke. And Ronald Reagan, famous for telling jokes, very skilled at telling jokes. We're going to play a lot of the presidential joke clips throughout the day, different presidents. I want to give you my favorite Reagan presidential joke. And it was Ronald Reagan, again, talking about the Soviets and how the Soviet Union was starting to open up and people were being able to buy things. Like, we all like to have a car, buy a car. Well, Reagan was telling the story about the Soviets buying a car.
And only 1 out of 7 families in the Soviet fell, and this is their story that they tell, this joke, that this man, he laid down his money, and then the fellow that was in charge said to him, "Okay, come back in 10 years and get your car." And he said, "Morning or afternoon?" And the fellow behind the counter said, "Well, 10 years from now, what difference does it make?" And he said, "Well, the plumber's coming in the morning."
It's great stuff. Right around the same time, my brother, one of my older brothers, happened to be in Russia. He was producing a play that he had written, and the Russians had asked him if they could pay him to bring it to Russia. He had translated it into Russian. And we would write letters back and forth because I wanted to know what the heck was going on. And he said, "Never worry about these people attacking us. You can't make a phone call from your hotel room to the lobby, much less call somebody at the missile site and say, fire on the U.S." So it's kind of weird. At the exact same time, Reagan was making jokes like that. Crazy stuff. So Reagan, I kind of agree with you, DeSantis. I think Reagan as the classic representation of funny. We have a few more examples to share with you. We have some examples from Bush, Obama. Are we allowed to play the LBJ one? We probably should check during the break.
Yeah, we can play it. I grabbed it. It's ready to go. I don't think he says anything that we can't say over the air. We'll be all right.
Well, I like that you'll take the risk with my time here on the radio station. That's very kind of you, very generous of you. And I'm glad I wore my Kale and Company shirt for everybody who's writing. Going, what the hell is this shirt Opelka has on? I have a Kale and Company shirt. That's what I got as my bonus from Nick this year. My Christmas present from Nick this year. Kale and Company shirt. He's very kind. We will have fun. Your suggestions in the YouTube chat, always welcome. And you can make suggestions on the phones as well. 855-839-1210. Just around the corner, we will get into more news of the president because it seems like Donald Trump may have slipped into his alter ego while he was in Turkey recently. As a matter of fact, I think they might be getting rid of Hail to the Chief in the White House. Have you heard this story, DeSantis? They may not be playing Hail to the Chief when Trump walks into the room anymore. Did you know that?
I have not heard this. I'm curious. What would they play?
Donald Trump. We'll get into the craziness around Air Force One. It's Opelka on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, Dawn Stensland here. Have you looked at your roof lately? If not, don't wait until fall. Once cooler weather and storms arrive, small roofing issues quickly become expensive repairs. Right now is the perfect time to protect your home and save. Through August 31st, Chapman Windows, Doors, and Siding is offering 25% off a brand new roof. And here's one of the many reasons I've trusted Chapman over the years. They're a GAF Certified Plus contractor. It means they can offer the Silver Pledge warranty, adding up to 10 years of workmanship coverage that most roofing companies simply cannot. So if you've been thinking about replacing your roof, right now's the perfect time. Beat the fall rush, lock in your savings, enjoy peace of mind before the seasons change. Chapman Windows, Doors, and Siding. Call them today. Get this on the calendar. Schedule your free consultation. ChapmanWindowsDoors.com. ChapmanWindowsDoors.com. Offer ends August 31st. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
Sometimes it feels like the news is full of things that have never happened before, and that is not exactly true. In fact, it may have happened this very week, hundreds or thousands of years ago. I'm Sally Helm, host of the podcast History This Week from the History Channel. Trade embargoes? Thomas Jefferson tried them. Rent too high? We've been arguing about that for a while. Each episode is proof. The past isn't that far away. Listen to History This Week, available now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Ethos.
Best Buy is testing a smaller store format as it looks to break into new markets. The nation's biggest electronics chain says it opens stores between 12,000 and 15,000 square feet in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Cape Cod, Massachusetts, significantly smaller than its flagship locations. Best Buy's CEO says its smaller format stores make sense for some markets where its traditional stores are just too big. I'm Jason Brooks.
Back to school season is here, and Dollar General has everything you need to start the school year strong. Don't forget to grab a pair of bright yellow sunglasses from the Yellow Glasses Project for just $2. Every purchase makes a difference, with 100% of proceeds helping support teachers, classrooms, and nonprofit organizations working to improve reading and literacy skills across the country. Stop by Dollar General today and shine bright with the Yellow Glasses Project, available now at Dollar General. The Yellow Glasses Project is a program of the Dollar General Literacy Foundation.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
Tune in to the Crash Proof Retirement Show Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Joanne Small-Canella and Tracy Stillman. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Weather sponsored by the Piazza Auto Group.
possible thunderstorm could be hanging around this afternoon or early evening. Overnight, we'll get down to 72. Tomorrow, less humid. We'll see some clouds and sun, kind of a mix. High 86. Clouds and sun again on Thursday, high 90, but we could see a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Friday, looks like it'll be a pretty good day, high 86.
Wherever you're headed this summer, there's a Volkswagen that's right for you. Get 0.9% financing for 48 months or up to $3,500 customer bonus on the 26 Atlas. Visit Piazza Volkswagen of Ardmore, Langhorne, or PiazzaVW.com today.
Now back to the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
This is Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
It is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Mike Opelka with you on this hot Tuesday. I was out working in the garden around the middle of the day because it's not as humid during the noon hour. But it's still hot, terribly hot. Had to come inside for 2 hours to cool down after being outside for an hour. But I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad you're here. We're going to get to more of the presidential humor as today is Presidential Joke Day. But there are some very important topics bubbling all around the country. We'll get to the primaries. We'll get to some of the other madness. We'll talk about President Trump and his new role as a secret agent, hiding from the enemy and sneaking between planes and ticking off the media. But we have to talk about, I think it's a pretty important cultural issue. I do believe the issue of women being safe in their sport and being able to compete against other women in the fairest way possible, or am I supposed to say most fair way? DeSantis, you're the Harvard guy. I can't say fairest, can I?
Yeah, don't put that kind of pressure on me, though.
Well,
I just have to guess wrong once and it's over.
Wow, you're melting like Jell-O on a warm plate. That's wonderful. Remember in Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, who's the fairest of them all? But I think it's most fair. I think that's what we're supposed to say. Who's the most? We want to make things fair for women. And women shouldn't have to play against men. We've been long time saying that. And as we've watched with the WNBA story unfolding from just the all-out assault on people like Sophie Cunningham, as well as Caitlin getting hammered by a lot of angry people, it seems, angry players in the WNBA. And then the question of what does the W stand for in the WNBA? Has anyone asked the owners or the head of the league, what does the W stand for? No, they haven't, but they won't. But the Enes Kanter, Freedom, and Royce White announcements that they want to be eligible for the WNBA draft, I think it is a tongue firmly planted in cheek move to try and force the WNBA to address this situation and stop being so damn wishy-washy about it. Somebody who has a great lot of knowledge on this topic is someone who had to live through the madness that we witnessed at Penn regarding the swimming, and somebody who I think should have been arrested for being in the women's locker room, but what do I know? Paula Scanlon is joining us. Paula, thanks for making time for us. I'm not going to bring up Boston sports because I'm a Chicago sports guy. So we could probably leave Boston and Chicago out of it. We just talk about fairness for women in sports. Is that a safe negotiation?
Absolutely, but I appreciate that you understand where I'm coming from and at least call me out for who I am, which is a Boston sports fan, of course, but we won't get into that.
That's okay. That's okay. I think it's wicked good that you're doing that. It's not wicked smart, but it's wicked good. So I appreciate it. I'm like I said, I'm a beleaguered Chicago sports fan, and the people here in Philly tolerate me. So I'm sure they will tolerate you as well. Now, your take on the Enes Kanter, Freedom, and Royce White announcement that they want to be eligible. Do you think they're actually going to end up ever playing a game, or is this some sort of gambit to force the WNBA's hand?
I think they probably won't end up playing a game. I think you're right on that. But exactly that, the leadership that allowed the rules to be what they are, that would even allow Inez and Royce to declare the way that they have, shows how horrible the leadership is over at the WNBA. If I were some type of consultant, because whether we think it or not, the WNBA is supposed to be a business, I would say we need to step in, overhaul completely, and fire everyone who's in charge, because this is not complicated. And apparently they're having extensive meetings right now to talk about this and to figure it out. We don't need that. We all know what the W stands for, and Inez and Royce do not belong in that. And the fact that there's any question shows, again, how terrible the leadership is and how they've really lost it and have no right, honestly, to be responsible for defending female athletes and protecting female athletes if they can't figure this out.
See, I thought we had made progress after Penn basically said, hey, we made a mistake with Thomas. And I really thought we had made progress. Did you get an apology, by the way? Did you get any kind of formal apology, letter of sorry?
Well, it depends what you classify as an apology. I was sent an email that had a bunch of PR words. ChatGPT could probably write me something better if I were to redo it. And there was one tiny little sentence. We apologize for any uncomfortable situation we might have caused for you. So there was not really so much of an admission of guilt, but there was a subtle, we apologize for, we didn't do it though, we were just implementing the rules. And that's how the email how the email went and was sent to all of us.
So if this were an apology, and I'm using air quotes with my fingers, if this were an apology from someone you were in a relationship with, would you say apology accepted, or would you say that's not good enough? You need a better apology.
Well, to put it this way, I actually didn't think that was the apology when I received it. And I posted it online and I said, oh, guys, I think we're still going to get something else. And then I waited a day, and then I waited 2 days, and then 3 days. And one of my teammates said, hey, aren't we supposed to get an apology? And I was like, I think so. And then we were texting, and I go, oh, my goodness. I think that was it. I think that was the one. And so, and I went back and reread it, and I said, okay, yeah, there was maybe something you could argue for some type of apology, and that was all we were sent. But honestly, I never thought that would ever happen when I was going through it, so I took that win. And the other wins I'll take. The WTA is now on board. That's huge, and the athletes that have been asked about it have not made a fuss about it. We have Sabalenka saying what everyone knows to be true, and she's the number one tennis player in the world.
Yeah, Aryna Sabalenka was quite clear on that. And she is also someone who is fairly imposing as a figure. I'm very, very big in the tennis world because I have a nephew who's a pro. And so I watch tennis entirely too much. And when she was asked just a couple of days ago how she felt about it, she's also referenced that people have said that they think she might be a man. And she's not. She's definitely all woman. But also the top two American women tennis players, Jessica Pegula and Coco Gauff, were asked about it after their matches in Toronto. I think they're playing in Toronto this week. And they both, Pegula had an answer going, hey, I just want to compete. I want it to be fair. And to maybe give her a little slack, the young Coco Gauff, I think she's 20 or 21, not yet media savvy enough to come up with a solid answer, because she was trying to still say, hey, I don't have any problems with the trans people. Well, yeah, you would if they were serving 140 miles an hour tennis serve at you. You'd have a big problem with them. But I also see that someone I would not expect to be on the side of what I consider a conservative issue, Martina Navratilova, has come out in solid support of what the WTA has done. So the WTA leading. Now we're waiting for the WNBA. Are there any other female sports organizations, other than maybe the Olympics, which seems to have common sense about it, that you're waiting on coming forward and saying, hey, you got to fix this?
Yeah, the other one we look at is women's soccer. I think they're in the same position as the WNBA, and they have a lot of athletes over on the soccer side that are very vocal about believing a man can say he's a woman simply because he said so. So that'll be an interesting one to watch for sure. But I think what these sporting organizations need to look at, and again, I don't think that they'll ever listen to me or anyone who's repeating these things for that matter, but what they need to look at is the young girls who are going to be looking up to the professional leagues, right? When I was a young kid swimming, I loved watching the Olympics. Even though I never became an Olympian or got anywhere close to that, I looked up to what the Olympians were doing. The same thing is to be said about young girls wanting to play basketball and soccer and all of these different sports. And these leagues need to realize that these young athletes are going to look to the professional leagues and see what's going on there. And if they're thinking, this sport probably won't protect me, they might not want to pursue that sport, and they'll pick something else where they are protected, like tennis, like swimming, like some of these other sporting bodies that have come out and said enough is enough. And that's something that they need to look at from a business standpoint. So ignore politics. You want to have a good business, you need to have fair rules and keep these competitions safe, fair, and only for women if it's for a women's category. And I don't think it's overly complex, but yet, again, the WNBA needs to have meetings upon meetings to figure it out and discuss. There's no discussion here. We all know what the W stands for. It's just time to say it out loud.
That's a great point. But we're talking with Paula Scanlon. Paula, do we need to talk about, should we be promoting Athletes for Action? You have a group that's built to support female athletes. What do we need to know about it, and what should we be doing to help you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best way to help me first is to just continue to talk about this issue. I don't care if you're a parent or not a parent or however old you are. It's important to just vocalize your opinions on this topic, and I think the more voices we have, the better. But Athletes for Action is really to support high school girls that are going through this. Like I said, we don't want those young girls who play basketball or soccer to feel discouraged, and so we have resources over there for young athletes in high school. They can join a chapter if they want to. We have some local chapters, and we have a big national one for anyone to join. And I think it's just really awesome to connect with young girls and help them on their whole sporting journey, which is really something we're trying to do. So if that's of interest, athletesforaction.com.
It's just the words, athletesforaction.com. The facts are out there. When kids, boys and girls, participate in organized sports, they end up having better lives. They end up learning the reality of life, winning and losing. They also end up learning teamwork, and they end up learning how to build success in their own lives. And we would like the women, the girls, to have as much fairness built into their systems as possible. So we'll always be there to support you no matter what madness you've been sucked into in Boston and what teams you will support. I just want you to know, Paula, I will always be there for you in spite of your devotion to either the Red Sox or the Celtics or, God forbid, the Patriots. I will forgive you for those, but we will support you in your quest to make women's sports a fair place for all women.
Well, thank you so much, and I likewise. I don't know. Sometimes Chicago sports can be good too, and sometimes the Philly ones as well. I can see it. We all love sports, and we love community, and I think it's about the next generation of athletes, and so I'm glad we're all on the same page for that one.
That's great. I love your take on this. You're a great spirit. You make me feel good about the next generation. Paula Scanlon, thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Take care. There she goes. Interesting. Very interesting that her organization, which I do think needs more support, they're on social media, Athletes for Action, but you can find them online at athletesforaction.com, have a lot of opportunity to make sure that the girls are protected. Guy Shiraki, Coach Guy, coaches girls softball. We should talk to him about that later this week. I'm here till Friday, God willing. I'll be here every day till Friday. We'll get into it. I think we should play a couple more presidential jokes. What say you, DeSantis?
Let's go for it. We got a couple minutes before we have to break.
Okay, good. Good. It is Presidential Joke Day, as Ronald Reagan on this day famously, what was it, 1984 he did this? It was August 11th?
I don't remember for certain.
I don't either. I know it was today, though, because today is Presidential Joke Day that Reagan told the joke about, well, we're going to bomb the Russians. So we went back and tried to find the funniest presidents, the funniest things that presidents have said. And I opened it up to the YouTube chat if you have a funny memory from the president. Let us go to, let's spin the wheel and go to unfriendly territory. Why don't you pull up one of the Barack Obama clips? Barack Obama and I think this is from the White House Correspondents' Dinner when Barack Obama was in his last year. And I believe we credit this address to the White House correspondents in attendance and all the people in attendance. Was this not the dinner that inspired Donald Trump to really go full tilt boogie, or was it a previous one? Maybe it was a previous one. But Obama was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and let's go with cut 21 here because Jake Tapper gets a good jabbing.
I won't lie. Look, this is a tough transition. It's hard. Key staff are now starting to leave the White House. Even reporters have left me. Savannah Guthrie, she's left the White House press corps to host the Today Show. Norah O'Donnell left the briefing room to host CBS This Morning. Jake Tapper left journalism to join CNN.
Ooh, good shot on the Tapper. Jake Tapper left journalism to join CNN. Ouch. That was 2016. Now, Donald Trump was not in the audience for that one. I do think the Trump kids were there. A couple of the Trump kids were spotted in the audience. But Obama didn't leave it there. He continued. Let's go with 22, please.
But the prospect of leaving the White House is a mixed bag. You might have heard that someone jumped the White House fence last week, but I have to give Secret Service credit. They found Michelle, brought her back. She's safe. She's safe back at home now. It's only 9 more months, baby. Settle down. And yet somehow, despite all this, despite the churn, in my final year, my approval ratings keep going up.
I would have booed.
The last time I was this high, I was trying to decide on my major.
Now, I have to give Obama credit. Now, he didn't write this. He has comedy writers. Every time a president goes up to give a speech, he's got writers who will give him things. And we know Donald Trump has writers. But Obama had the best Hollywood had to offer because they all loved him. They were all kissing his tuchus. And so he had good speech writers, good joke writers. But I was surprised he would make a joke about himself being stoned that way. We knew about the Choom Gang. It was in the bio. One more from the Obama speech. This is when he gave it to Trump a little bit, and we thought the speech was over.
Well, let me conclude tonight on a more serious note. I want to thank the Washington Press Corps. I want to thank Carol for all that you do. You know, the free press is central to our democracy, and nah, I'm just kidding. You know I've got to talk about Trump. Come on.
Why don't we stop this here? Let's take a break and come back to what he said. Yes, he kind of did the okie doke on the press. He said, and in closing, and then he saw the people were like, wait, you're not going to give it to Trump? And he did. We'll play it for you just around the corner. It's Opelka on the lovely afternoon show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Is life insurance still on your list from earlier this year? Now is the perfect time to just get it done. A buddy told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I added this to my list this year and got it done. I called SelectQuote and was shocked at how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $18 a month. My wife's also 40, and her $5,000 policy was only $16 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, no medical exam was required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Checking this off my list felt great, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-280-5858 for your free quote today. That's 1-800-280-5858. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-280-5858. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
You know what I love? American-made products, baby. That's right. It's Rich Zioli. American-made products, and that's what you get from Emmons Roofing and Siding. Owens Corning shingles are made in New Jersey. Certainteed siding made right outside of Philly. Provia windows and doors handcrafted in Ohio. And because Emmons is platinum with Owens Corning, your roof comes with a lifetime workmanship warranty. That's accountability on American-made quality from an American company right in our backyard. EmmonsRoofing.com, EmmonsRoofing.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
You don't need another opinion, just the facts.
What caused that crash on the Schuylkill? Will it rain before the kids' game? What happened at the school board meeting last night?
At KYW News Radio, we don't take sides. We take notes, delivering the information you need to make the best decisions for your family.
The news you need whenever you need it.
Depend on KYW News Radio, Philadelphia's most trusted news leader for more than 60 years.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You can now tune in to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the iHeartRadio app.
It is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Mike Opelka coming to you from the Free Speech Bunker in North Wilmington, Delaware. Happy to be here. Thrilled to be here. I was just checking out, there is a poll in the YouTube chat and also scanning some of the conversations happening in the YouTube chat. I'm glad the general managers here, Road Warriors, in the YouTube chat. But there is a poll. Who is the funniest president? And you can go to the YouTube chat. You can like and subscribe, and you can vote for who you think is the funniest president. We were just playing one of the nominees, Barack Hussein Obama. And, oh, no, he's not in there. He would be in someone else. You'd have to click someone else for him. And this was Obama at his final White House press correspondence dinner and he was going after Donald Trump.
We weren't just going to stop there. Come on. Although I am a little hurt that he's not here tonight. We had so much fun the last time.
A little cringy. On the Atlantic City Casino, that was a little bit of a hit. Although, today President Trump can point to Mar-a-Lago and say, "I think we did pretty good on this one, sir." I think, boy, there's a lot of animosity between those two. A lot of animosity. We have funnier presidents. We will share some of those with you around the corner, and we'll get into it. I also found the new, what may be the new best chicken sandwich in town. And now I want somebody. This is why we need interns, guys. We could go and send out for this chicken sandwich right now and have it before we get back after the news. And we will discuss today's primaries just around the corner with Jenny Beth Martin. It's Opelka on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
The Bloomberg Market Minute, sponsored by Piazza Auto Group. Experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Downbeat tone on Wall Street today as crude oil futures rise. In the airline industry, Delta investigating an unauthorized Wi-Fi network on a yesterday flight from Vegas where a major cybersecurity conference was held. Investigators looking at the activation of the network for a short time, according to a Delta spokesperson, prompting the flight crew to deactivate the Boeing 757 aircraft's Wi-Fi for about 30 minutes. Chobani says although Greek yogurt sales are rising, its costs for raw materials and marketing are going up too. That means it now expects full-year earnings to slip below what it expected. To help cut expenses, Chobani is exiting the oat milk business amid waiting demand. And starting next month, people on Spotify will begin seeing artist profiles as AI-generated. Accounts can self-report, but the app will start rooting out profiles it suspects represent AI-generated identities. It also won't recommend songs from AI personas unless you say you're okay with that. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Many people put off dental treatment for years because of fear, anxiety, or a bad experience. At Bent's Dental Group, your comfort comes first. Dr. Robert Bent, Dr. Emily Bent, board-certified prosthodontists, understand every patient is different. Every treatment plan and every experience is customized to each individual's comfort level. You'll be saying, I wish I hadn't waited so long. Schedule a consultation with Bent's Dental Group and discover how comfortable modern dentistry can be. 610-272-6949.
While the sun's out and the summer's in full swing, Kitchen Magic wants to help you fall back in love with your kitchen. We've been a family-owned business right here in Nazareth since 1979. And for over 45 years, quality and craftsmanship have been our promise. This summer only, 40% off installation with flexible financing options for every budget. Don't wait for someday. Visit kitchenmagic.com and let's build something beautiful together.
Alcoholics Anonymous. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There is a solution. You can find us at aa.org.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Western Colombia, more than 200 people are dead following yesterday's earthquake. Search and rescue continues. ABC's Faith Abube is in Medellin.
The deadly earthquake, the most powerful to hit the country in more than a decade, leaving a trail of destruction in multiple cities. The quake's epicenter coming close to heavily populated areas. Cities like Pereira and Cali hit particularly hard. Entire apartment buildings seen splitting apart, leaving clouds of dust and rubble.
It is primary day across 6 states, including Minnesota. The state secretary's office says more than 241,000 voters cast ballots ahead of Election Day, the highest number, the office says, of early votes cast ahead of a primary in any non-presidential year. In South Carolina, Republican voters casting ballots for the second time in 2 months on who will replace the late Senator Lindsey Graham after his death in July. Graham's sister Darlene Graham, appointed by the Senate to finish out his term, which ends in January. She's running in the GOP primary for the full-term seat. Severe storms taking aim at the Midwest and portions of the East Coast today. ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore says many areas are under flood warnings.
That spans from Chicago to Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Charleston, West Virginia, right on into the D.C. metro area. And this is through this evening with some of the heavier rain arriving in the next couple of hours in parts of Virginia and North Carolina.
Earlier today, a tornado warning forcing workers at Air Traffic Control Tower at Midway Airport in Chicago to evacuate and causing ground stops in place. A U.S. Marine on a flight back to America after his release from a Russian prison. Robert Gilman was detained for more than 4 years on disputed charges. According to the group advocating for his release, Gilman is gravely ill and suffered years of abuse. You're listening to ABC News.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
These days, heading back to school means more than pencils and notebooks. It means laptops, tablets, online accounts, and a lot of personal information moving across the internet. WebRoot Total Protection gives families powerful online defense tools with antivirus, VPN, cloud backup, identity protection, and more, helping keep your digital life secure throughout the school year and beyond. Go to webroot.com/radio and get 60% off today. That's webroot.com/radio for 60% off. Live a better digital life with WebRoot, because peace of mind shouldn't be optional.
Luigi Mangione was back in a New York courtroom for a hearing in a state case in the fatal shooting of United Healthcare's CEO. The judge overseeing the state murder trial says jurors will be kept anonymous over concerns they could be subjected to harassment, intimidation, or improper outside influence.
Judge Gregory Caro made the announcement when Mangione appeared in court on Tuesday for a brief conference ahead of his September 8th trial for allegedly murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Citing concerns about jury harassment and intimidation, Judge Caro said only prosecutors and defense lawyers will have access to the jurors' names and addresses. Judge Caro justified his decision by noting that individuals identifying themselves as Mangione's supporters have made inflammatory and hostile statements outside court and have signaled plans to try to speak with prospective jurors. Peter Haralambous, ABC News, New York.
Data centers driving a massive construction boom, but some communities complain of noise pollution and massive spikes in energy bills. There are also concerns about how much water data centers use to cool all the equipment. Frank Willey is Assistant Director of the Global Energy Center at the Atlantic Council.
The models that the hyperscalers are running right now use a tremendous amount of power to run the calculations and algorithms that are advancing the U.S. ability to advance AI.
Willey says companies building data centers must be more transparent with communities and local leaders. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
There's a reason that potato chips don't come in a clear bag.
There's only 8 chips in this bag.
That's why. It's only about 2/3 full. The rest is air. It's a lot like opening up your 401k at retirement. You get about 2/3 of it, and the rest goes to Uncle Sam. Jim Cipriotti at the Retire Ready Financial Group can help. His tax mapping process can help forecast what your tax bill will be in the future, and that way you can build a strategy now to potentially decrease your tax bill in retirement. In other words, more for you and less for Uncle Sam. Call today for your complimentary retirement tax mapping report, 610-894-7415. That's 610-894-7415. Or find them online at retirereadyfg.com and get Uncle Sam's greedy hands out of your retirement.
Hey, you've had enough.
With a complimentary tax mapping report from Jim Cipriotti. Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, Retire Ready Financial Group, LLC, NPN number 2083768.
WPHT, WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. Free speech lives here. The WPHT Afternoon afternoon show.
He's the voice that cuts right through. Truth is hard, wild and true. Turn it up, feel that sound. Mike Opelka's in your town. Mike Opelka on WPHT. Rockin' Philly talk loud and free. Keep it locked, don't touch that dial. WPHT. Mike Opelka style.
And welcome to it, Tuesday. Mike Opelka here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, 7 minutes after 4 o'clock on another hot day. But then again, it's August. It's early August, August 11th. It's also Presidential Joke Day, as we played a couple of presidential jokes earlier. We'll get to more. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, there's also a poll. Who is the funniest president? You can pick from 4 options, one of which is someone else, because somebody might think, like DeSantis thinks, Calvin Coolidge was the funniest president ever. For one answer, DeSantis, I got to tell you, I think there's something to be said for the amount of funny, not just the one line, you know.
I thought it was a pretty good line.
Pretty good. You know, good is the enemy of great. We have to remember that. We're always seeking greatness here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, which is also why we reached out to have a conversation with our next guest about today's primaries. We're so happy and fortunate to have Jenny Beth Martin joining us, one of the founders, co-founder of the Tea Party Patriots. I go way back to the early days of the Tea Party when I was part of theblaze.com in my conservative broadcasting infancy. And I remember those days with Jenny Beth Martin and all the other folks who were out there pushing against the establishment Republicans, saying, we got to get back to the original idea of this Tea Party here in America. And so we're happy to have Jenny Beth here to talk about some of the primaries today. Welcome back, Jenny. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. It's good to be with you.
Now, I have to ask you a question, a totally non-political question, although it's a little political. Today, Presidential Joke Day, the anniversary of Reagan saying, you know, we're dropping the bombs now on the Russians. Who's the funniest president, in your opinion?
I don't know that I know every single joke that every president has told. I think Reagan is pretty funny. I just finished reading the Politically Incorrect Guide to Communism, and it had a couple of jokes in that Reagan had told back in the 80s as we were in the middle of the Cold War. So his jokes are timeless, and they still are illustrative of some of the battles we fight today.
You were right. We did play one earlier of Reagan talking about the guy who went in to buy his car in the USSR, and the delivery date was 10 years later, and he said morning or afternoon. And this car guy was furious. He said, why? Well, the plumber's coming in the morning, 10 years from now. So, yeah, that's a good call. Reagan had training as an actor, so he knew how to deliver and he knew how to work an audience. And we were saying that Donald Trump gets credit for being off the cuff and honest and just going for it at one point. It's kind of like comparing the comedy of George Carlin, which is structured, to maybe a Sam Kinison running off the rails, and they're both hilarious, but in a different area. Jenny Beth Martin, we're looking at primaries today in various parts of the country. Wisconsin's getting a lot of attention. Minnesota, a little bit of attention. South Carolina, somewhat, for the replacement of Lindsey Graham. Are you looking for anything specifically in the outcome of all these primaries today?
Well, I think that there are, when we're looking at what's happening inside the Democratic Party, we are going to see, I think we're going to wind up seeing more evidence that the voters inside the Democrat Party are hard left at this point. The primary voters, the base of the Democratic Party, is hard left. And we don't have many, if any, of the Bill Clinton era kind of Democrats in the party. And they don't seem to be able to win in competitive primaries if they do exist. So I think that we're going to see more of that tonight in Minnesota and in Wisconsin. And then when it comes to the South Carolina primary, I think that is going to, for the Republican side, especially for the Senate seat, I think we're going to wind up in a situation where there is a runoff. When you've got 10 Republicans running, it's hard not to have a runoff.
Yeah, nobody's going to get 50% of the vote in that state. And I am one person who's been very open saying I wish Lindsey Graham's sister would have accepted the temporary gig and then let a little more experienced politicians get in there, because you're replacing a very seasoned veteran with a complete neophyte when it comes to his sister. And then that is not what I thought we needed. You're in Georgia. You've been in Georgia a while, correct?
I have been in Georgia. I was in Georgia my whole life. I moved to Florida about 4 years ago. Our office is still in Georgia, and I'm actually much more plugged in Georgia than in Florida, just because of the longtime roots in Georgia.
Well, that's good, because I want to ask you about that. When you mention the Bill Clinton kind of Democrat, my mind flashes back to that same era. When the Democrats had what we called blue dogs, you had people like Zell Miller, who's no longer with us, but there were reasonable Democrats. And it feels as if the Democrat Party has lost all of its reasonable party members, elected members of the party, and that now the squad is the center of the party. Fair assessment or no?
Yeah, I think that you're right about that. I don't know. Here's what I think. I don't think that the squad is the center of the people in America who identify as Democrat general election voters. I think there's a huge difference between the people who vote every 2 and every 4 years versus the people who vote in every single election. So they're voting in every primary, every runoff, every general election, every special election. I think that when it comes to those primary type voters, those are the base. And it seems that the squad is definitely the leading those people who are the Democrat primary, hard Democrat voters.
Well, so turnout tonight will be a big indicator if the Democrat, this new far left DSA Democrats have really organized and taken over the party. If we see big turnout for them, does that mean they can also, if they can win a primary in decisive fashion, Jenny Beth Martin, do you think that this new Democrat candidate can win a general?
I think that it depends on whether you're talking about a statewide race or a congressional race. The congressional seats are so gerrymandered in red seats to the right and in blue seats to the left that I think that the nominee, by and large, for the seat, if it leans blue, it's going to be blue. So if the Democrat Socialists won the primary in a congressional seat and it's not one of the 18 or so competitive seats in the country and it leans blue, they're probably going to go to Congress. If it is for governor or Senate, where it's a statewide race that is much less gerrymandered, I think it becomes much more competitive. And we're seeing that right now as we have lifelong Democrats in Michigan who are stepping up and saying, this is not my party and I cannot vote Democrat, I'm voting Republican. They're not conservative. They would never even identify as conservative. They just think that the Republicans are more moderate and reasonable than what they're seeing from the far left of their party.
Well, when you have, and I think it's an attorney general in the state of Michigan who is Jewish, and she can't go to her party nominating convention because she's concerned for her safety by having to face off with some of the nut jobs on the far left in the party. That speaks volumes. And you've got Paul Begala who's saying he can't support what's going on in the party, and you've got other Clintonistas who are now saying we can't support it. And you know who's been noticeable by her silence in all of this, and maybe you've seen something, Jenny Beth Martin, Nancy Pelosi's been invisible and hasn't stepped up and said a word when it comes to all of these races and all of these crazy candidates. Have you heard her at all?
No, I have not heard her at all, but it doesn't surprise me. She comes from very liberal, hard left San Francisco, so she can't edge to a more moderate stance because she would lose her own base. When we think of the most liberal parts of the country, normally, in normal circumstances, we think of San Francisco as being one of the most liberal places in the entire country. And so it does not surprise me that she's not coming out against the even harder left push. And I think that she is okay with. I think she's just okay with whatever it takes to maintain her power. Her principle is her own personal power.
Well, she's kind of on the exit ramp at this point. You know, she's not running for re-election. She's on the outs, and I just thought maybe to be the wise old soul of the party and say, hey, don't go so far left that you're going to cost us. Because I do believe, as you've analyzed it here, that the congressional districts that are in deep blue districts will be won by whomever is the Democrat on the ticket. So we can't even think that they're going to cost them a seat by being so far left. But it is those statewide offices, those governor spots, those Senate seats where a nut job candidate could cost the Democrats or the Republicans if they ran a nut job candidate. But I don't see anyone as far right as we're seeing these candidates are far left on the Democrat side. It is just them, is it not? We don't have any real super far right candidates in any of these races coming up.
We don't. The difference in the far right versus the far left normally is that the far right has wanted less government, less spending, more individual responsibility, more individual liberty, rather than more government control. And right now, especially in this post-COVID world, a lot of people in the country do think that a little bit less government is not such a bad thing. A little bit less interference with our everyday decisions that led to lockdowns is a good thing. So I don't think that position where we say we just want less government control, it seems so shocking or extreme as it may have seemed back in 2009, even though it wasn't then. It's what our country was founded on.
Yeah, I would hope that the Republican Party would get the message out that, look, all of this loss of trust in Fauci and all the things we're learning about what he was doing is a good time for us to say government needs to be less involved in the control of your personal life. And maybe we could capitalize on some of that, pushing individual responsibility, personal responsibility, individual liberties. Great stuff, Jenny Beth Martin. Where should we be following you? Where's the best place to keep up with what you're doing?
The website for our organization is teapartypatriots.org, and that has all of our calls to action and in-depth things that Tea Party Patriots Action is doing. And then I am on social media at Jenny Beth M, as in Martin, M as in Martin, Jenny Beth M on all the social media networks.
And before I let you go, you are in Florida. I know you've still got roots back in Georgia. Is Byron Donalds going to be your next governor?
I think that he has a very good chance of it. One thing that I really appreciate about Byron Donalds is that he understands the Tea Party movement. He loves the Constitution, and he advocates for it, and he talks about founding principles regularly. And as a Tea Partier, I very much appreciate that with Byron Donalds.
I also like his wife and her push on schooling, and she's very big on making sure the education of our kids is done right, and if parents want to do it by themselves. So I have great location envy for all of you people who are living in the free state of Florida. But thank you.
Well, come on down.
Eventually. You know, those winter days when you could play golf in shorts, they're very attractive to those of us up here in the Northeast. But we appreciate you being there. Thank you, Jenny Beth.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Yeah, I do think Byron Donalds is going to end up being the governor of the great state of Florida. Byron Donalds, A lot of us thought he might have been a good vice presidential choice for Trump in the second go-round, or even a spot in the Senate. But Byron doesn't like the Senate too much. Remember, he said what did he say about the Senate?
The Senate sucks. I'm just going to come out and say it. They suck.
They suck. The Senate sucks. That's what Byron Donald says. I'm going to step aside for a break here. When we come back, we will get into more of the presidential jokes and Donald Trump in a story that has the left losing its ever-loving mind. Donald Trump moving from one plane to another, and the left is crazy. They're upset. They're offended because Trump's a little more like Bond than anyone. 1210 WPHT.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-329-1010. That's 1-800-329-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-329-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Back to school season is here, and Dollar General has everything you need to start the school year strong. Don't forget to grab a pair of bright yellow sunglasses from the Yellow Glasses Project for just $2. Every purchase makes a difference, with 100% of proceeds helping support teachers, classrooms, and nonprofit organizations working to improve reading and literacy skills across the country. Stop by Dollar General today and shine bright with the Yellow Glasses Project, available now at Dollar General. The Yellow Glasses Project is a program of the Dollar General Literacy Foundation.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Dollar General.
Best Buy is testing a smaller store format as it looks to break into new markets. The nation's biggest electronics chain says it opens stores between 12,000 and 15,000 square feet in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Cape Cod, Massachusetts, significantly smaller than its flagship locations. Best Buy's CEO says its smaller format stores make sense for some markets where its traditional stores are just too big. I'm Jason Brooks.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code FRESH to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRESH. for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
Celebrate the legendary voice of the birds, Merrill Reese, at Merrill Live. An unforgettable evening of stories, memories, and behind-the-scenes moments with Merrill Reese and special appearances from some of your favorite players and more. Merrill Live at the Scottish Rite Auditorium, Tuesday, September 15th. Get your tickets now at 94WIP.com. Presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. And Impriano Roofing and Siding. The best homes have an Impriano roof.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at progressive.com.
Weather is sponsored by Kitchen Magic.
Possible thunderstorm could be hanging around this afternoon or early evening. Overnight, we'll get down to 72. Tomorrow, less humid. We'll see some clouds and sun, kind of a mix, high 86. Clouds and sun again on Thursday, high 90, but we could see a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Friday, looks like it'll be a pretty good day, high 86.
Make this summer the one you finally love your kitchen. Dawn Stensland here. Kitchen Magic, family owned in Nazareth since 1979. Offering 40% off installation and flexible financing. Visit kitchenmagic.com today. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Broadcasting live from the Piazza Auto Group studios. Experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
It is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Mike Opelka with you on this Tuesday. Another steamy day. And it feels like at any moment a thunderstorm could break out. I'm a little tired of it all. I'm ready for a little cooler nights. I'd like to be able to open the windows at night. I was perusing the YouTube chat during the break, and I'm absolutely digging all of the discussion of cars. Because I love cars, especially cars that we used to make that weren't spying on us. Cars that we used to make that, you could actually work on your car. Back in the day, no mas. And I was looking at all of the great discussions of all the great big block cars, the muscle cars. And then I thought, wait a minute, 1973, August. Yeah, that was American Graffiti, one of the great car movies of all time. And I'm sure, DeSantis and Justin, you've never seen American Graffiti, have you?
I have seen it, actually.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yeah, Harrison Ford randomly makes an appearance in that film.
Not randomly. Harrison Ford is a badass in that film.
That was his first role, I think.
First credited role, and Ron Howard. But the weirdest thing is, Francis Ford Coppola was the impetus behind it because he challenged George Lucas to write a coming-of-age film. And Lucas wrote this film and directed it. So that great film had an incredible soundtrack, too, with a lot of good music. But just, we used to cruise the same neighborhood as kids in the local hot rods. And I just don't think anybody does that anymore. I don't think anybody looks at turning 16 and the freedom that you get when you get your driver's license and the freedom that you feel when you have your first car that you purchased. Now it's no, I don't want a car. I'll just Uber everywhere. I feel bad for this generation that doesn't have that experience. It's kind of sad, but there's so many great cars being discussed in there. So I love seeing all that. One day maybe we'll talk about best, worst first car.
By the way, I have some fun American Graffiti facts if you'd like to hear them.
I would love to have some fun American Graffiti facts.
So this is kind of crazy. The movie cost roughly $775,000 to make, but it ultimately earned over $100 million.
Wow.
Harrison Ford, obviously in the film, as we mentioned, he was 31 in this role, but he was playing a 22-year-old.
Well, that's not, to be fair, that's not unusual in Hollywood. That's not that strange.
He looks really young in it, though. I would have thought he was probably 22, and he was well cast.
He was also dimly lit in that drag racer he was driving around in on the streets. You could barely see him in the car.
He's not in it for very long.
No.
Also, Justin looked it up. It's not his first role. He was in a couple of other movies before this one, but I think this is probably his first big role.
I think it's his first big credited role in terms of that. Yeah, and it inspired. I believe it inspired Happy Days, the TV show, to be made. I could be wrong on that. Somebody may double check me on that, but I know there was a whole lot of attention to the nostalgia of that era that may or may not have triggered Happy Days that followed a huge hit, which gave us the Fonz. So great stuff. An incredible. Now, DeSantis, you saw it on TV. You didn't see it in the theater, did you?
No, I did not see it in the movie theater. I think I saw it on Netflix, actually.
The theater experience for these films is important. Anyway, thanks to everybody who's bouncing around inside the YouTube chat room. There's a lot of good conversations happening there. And I think our friend Lauren Fix is going to join us later this week to talk more about cars. There's a whole lot of discussion about the Shelby Mustang. Lauren loves cars so much, and she was a race car driver. I think she has 2 or 3 Shelby Cobras in her collection. There won't be any telethons for Lauren. She's doing really well. But she loves the Shelby so much she named her daughter Shelby. And she designed a braking system for some car. I think that's where she made her first big chunk of money. So she's got automotive engineering in her background. We talked a little bit about the story that has CNN and others absolutely apoplectic, and that's your SAT word of the hour, apoplectic. If you can use it 3 times in a sentence correctly, it's yours forever. The left is losing its mind because a couple of weeks ago, President Trump was in Turkey. And as he was leaving Turkey, and just for the record, I refuse to do the new pronunciation of Turkey. I'm not going there. I don't even know if anyone's got a universal correct pronunciation of it. DeSantis, can you correctly pronounce the new way they want us to call Turkey? Is it Turkey? Yeah, something like that.
I saw the altered spelling. I didn't know there was an altered pronunciation as well.
Yeah. You'll hear every now and then one of the wokesters on one of the other news channels will go, well, the president of Turkey, yeah. You're like, why are you doing this? Why? It's Turkey. It's been Turkey forever. Cut it out. We don't say Paris. We say Paris. Stop it. But Trump was in Turkey, and he had flown there on the new Air Force One that was gifted to the country by Qatar. And the Iranians apparently may have had an idea on how to target that new plane, whether or not it had been completely fitted with all of the bells and whistles to protect it. And so the Secret Service and our U.S. intelligence group got together and said, Mr. President, we don't think this is a good idea for you to fly home in the new Air Force One. We've got the old Air Force One, the blue one, you're going to get on that. And then they said, well, honestly, sir, we're not even sure if that's the right idea. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you get on the plane, and you climb up the stairs, the big stairs on the outside, the ones that Biden never used because he was falling apart at the end. But you climb up the stairs, you wave to the media, because the media that travels with the president, they wait outside the plane to see if there's going to be any media interaction, because Trump always answers questions. He's the most transparent presidency of my era. And after he waves, then all the media weasels go to their staircase, and they go into the press area in the back of Air Force One. There's a small part of the plane that is just for the media. And they sit back there, and they wait the whole time, because sometimes Trump will come back and talk to them. While the press was climbing into the plane, Donald Trump had boarded Air Force One. They closed the door. He walked across Air Force One to the area where they were loading the plane with supplies. Like when you go to the airport and you watch that truck pull up, and it's got a box on it, and it's raised on a scissor lift, and they bring all the food into the kitchen, into the galley on the plane. That truck pulled up to Air Force One, the old one, And as they were bringing the food on, Trump got onto that container, and they lowered it and then drove across the tarmac to yet another runway where another jet was waiting. And they took the president, and I'm not sure who else was with him, but then that plane took off, the one that was carrying Donald Trump, and he flew home on that plane. It wasn't until the press got back to D.C. from Turkey that they knew that the president was not on the plane. So they got all bummed out. But why were they bummed out? Why were they angry? And why are they all calling for investigations into this? CNN is spending a whole lot of time covering this today. They are all butthurt about this. Why? Because they thought they were sitting ducks. They're now saying, well, when the plane took off, we were told to close our shades in the passenger compartment, that they were going to fly in the dark. And, that usually happens when you're going into a war zone. But they got all upset because Trump was on a different plane and they thought they were possibly targeted. The indignation is just too good. But I happen to think this may be one of the best Trump stunts ever. Absolutely one of the best Trump stunts ever done. And it's not necessarily a stunt, but it's a smart move. This is when the president became Bond, James Bond, and he was being sneaky in the minds of the press. So we have to play the sneaky James Bond music. Like you could see Trump climbing up the steps to Air Force One. He gets inside. They close the door behind him. Then he walks across the 747 into the container where the food is being lifted into the galley. And they close the door behind him and lower it. And he goes across the tarmac to another jet. And they put him inside that one. Then he takes off. And all of the butthurt press is going to be out there whining about this today. It's just too good. It is too good. Maybe the best president of my lifetime. I'm just saying, he's got a lot of competition with Reagan. But he's also one of the funniest. And we do have a poll right now on the YouTube channel. You can go in there and vote on who is the funniest president. Today is Presidential Joke Day. And the jokes come in from all sorts of places. And I do think we need to give you a little bit of a Donald Trump jokery, because he's the only guy who can go up and hold forth for like 3 hours in front of anybody. And we already played you a little bit of the Obama jokes, which were written for him. But Donald Trump talking recently at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and just delivering some brilliant stuff.
How's that one going? Not too good. I hope that everyone finally got to enjoy their entire very delicious beef tenderloins, very special beef. And I want you all to know that Bobby Kennedy, who's right here, personally ran over the cow in his car. And he cut it up and he brought it here for you to eat tonight. So it's very fresh. And Bobby also suggested an appetizer featuring his favorite cut of male raccoon roadkill. But we drew the line at that, Cheryl. We said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We love Bobby. I'll tell you, it is a piece of work. You think it is fun, but he is a very different kind of a person, I will tell you. But he has what it takes, and he's smart, and he loves the country, and he wants people to be made to feel good. You agree with that, Bobby? He wants people to feel good. And he's doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. We can joke all we want, but thank you.
I do think Donald Trump was this close, holding my thumb and forefinger very close together on the YouTube channel. I think Donald Trump was this close to saying raccoon penis when he was talking about the appetizer. He came that close, and I'm sure Susie Wiles was in his eyesight. She had him on radar, and she was staring him down. Do not say it, because even if he had said that, it would have been a drop forever and never and ever. President Trump. The funniest off the cuff, that was a written segment, but he always delivers it very well. Is he the funniest president? Vote at our YouTube poll. You don't think about George W. Bush being funny, do you? It's not somebody I think of as necessarily intentionally funny. Maybe that's the word we should use. But I did find a George W. Bush joke for you.
A year ago, my approval rating was in the 30s. My nominee for the Supreme Court had just withdrawn, and my vice president had shot someone. Those were the good old days.
The funny thing about that is the Dick Cheney shooting joke, Obama referenced that too in his White House Correspondents' dinner speech. No, I'm not going to play another one of them. No, I'm not going to play another Obama joke. But that accidental shooting of his friend by Dick Cheney turned out to be material for everybody, fodder for everybody. George W. Bush may be in fourth place in the polling on whether or not he's the funniest president. I have to give you one more. Reagan, just always crushing it. Jenny Beth Martin confirmed what a lot of us believe. Ronald Reagan, in terms of classic storytelling politician. Ronald Reagan talking about a politician going to heaven.
An evangelical minister and a politician arrived at Heaven's Gate one day together. And St. Peter, after doing all the necessary formalities, took them in hand to show them where their quarters would be. And he took them to a small single room with a bed, a chair, and a table, and said this was for the clergyman. And the politician was a little worried about what might be in store for him. And he couldn't believe it then when St. Peter stopped in front of a beautiful mansion with lovely grounds, many servants, and told him that these would be his quarters. And he couldn't help but ask. He said, but wait, there's something wrong. How do I get this mansion while that good and holy man only gets a single room? And St. Peter said, you have to understand how things are up here. We got thousands and thousands of clergy. You're the first politician who ever made it.
Sad but true. I believe that's heaven is pretty shy of politicians. I think they're in a much warmer place, a very warm place for them, even hotter than it is outside here. We will discuss further. We will discuss more from President Trump as well, because President Trump was holding forth in the White House yesterday. There was a discussion of what President Trump has done with the executive order as it relates to immunization of children. And I think tomorrow we're going to have our friend Dr. Michael Roizen about this. Last week we talked to Dr. Roizen, if you remember, on Wellness Wednesday. And if you have a question for Dr. Roizen, you can put it in the YouTube chat. We'll try and get it to him. I asked about the carnivore diet, which I think Dottie had put in there last week, and we got Roizen's take on the carnivore diet. I want to ask him about the move to limit or at least restrict the immunizations given to children. I'm not a medical doctor. I've not studied it from any other point other than what's written in the media about it. But it does seem to me that autism was a very rare incident when we were growing up. And they often quote, how many 1 in 10,000 back in the 60s, and now it's 1 in 36. And if you're in certain parts of the country, it's even lower than that, 1 in 18. And that's a stunning change in terms of what's happening to children and babies and how that is affecting them for the rest of their lives, not just them, but their parents. So I don't think it's a bad idea to reconsider how we are vaccinating our kids, especially when you compare it to how the European nations are vaccinating their children. And yesterday, President Trump signed that executive order to change the recommendation. I think it's from 18 down to 11. I will get Dr. Roizen's take on it I know Dawn spent a lot of time on this today, and it's something she certainly has done some of the research on. I believe in the past when we've talked to Dr. Royson about this, he talked about how the schedule of vaccines could be one contributor, but also it could be environmental in terms of the cleaning products we have in our homes now, as well as the diets that we eat, the ultra-processed foods that we put into our body. It doesn't have to be just one thing that could be severely affecting the development of young people at this point. But after the signing, the president opens up the floor, and he was taking questions. And, of course, I think the number one question on everybody's mind is, what the heck is going on with Iran? Yesterday, Vice President J.D. Vance talked about this war is half over. And I'm like, wait a minute. Half over? You started this in February. If this is the halftime show, I don't want this to go into 2027. I thought this was going to be over sooner. I thought it was 2 weeks to flatten the Iranians, and then it would be over. No. But President Trump was asked about the Strait of Hormuz. He was asked about who's in control there. Let's get to cut 2, please.
Sir, can you give us an estimate of when you think the Strait of Hormuz will be?
Well, it's open now. We're taking a lot of shit. It's open now. Look, the only one that has control of the Strait of Hormuz right now is the United States Navy. We have a blockade that's been infallible. It's a steel wall. And we let people in that we want to let in, and those people come in, and they've been coming in and they're going out. So it's actually open now. We do not let them go into Iran. They're not admitted into the strait to go to Iran. But it's open for others. Now, a little bit complex because they will, on occasion, drop a mine, and we find the mines. You know, we've mine swept the entire strait, as you probably maybe heard, maybe you didn't hear. But we control the strait 100%. Now, can they make trouble? Yeah, they can make trouble. But they're broke. They have no money. You know, Iran is broke.
And the Iranians have added some new conditions to fully reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which, let's be honest and fair about this. There is traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not what it should be. It's not the numbers of ships and the amount of cargo going through there that is normal. So while there may be some traffic, there's not the right amount of traffic. There's not the correct amount of traffic going through there. So we might have somewhat control of the Strait of Hormuz, but the Iranians are still screwing with us. And that is a strategic point that we missed, and we have to find a way around it. They are broke, though, and they're begging us for money. They want us to rebuild what we blew up, which I don't think we should do. They want us to give them reparations, which I don't think we should do. And I hope the president is going to get some sort of resolution on this. He also was asked questions about, since today's primary day, about some of the craziness that's going on with the radical candidates that the left is putting forward. And he had opinions on that. We'll stop and start this a little bit.
Well, the one thing is we have jihadists being elected all over the place. We have this, whether it's communism, jihadism. It's a friend of mine called up. He said, you know, really, you should use the word jihadist because that's what's happening. And I'm not sure that anybody, if you take a look at what happens in other countries, I think that's not going to be necessarily the way we want to live. But when you look at the radicalism and the craziness of the candidates and the stupidity of what they're suggesting, let's get rid of the Supreme Court, let's get rid of the presidency, let's get rid of the Senate. They want to get, you know, sometimes I'd like to get rid of the Senate too, but I don't say it, and I wouldn't do it. But, you know, they want to get rid of the Senate, they want to get rid of, ideally, the House, but they're thinking about maybe keeping the House, you know. Isn't that nice? These are people that have been not successful. They're people that have been, in many cases, failures. They come from other failed countries, and they come here and they tell us how to run our country. They come from places like, I won't mention because I don't want to get myself into a controversy, but they come from countries that are not great. They come from, let's say, as an example, Somalia. They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution, how our Declaration of Independence, how it works. It doesn't work that way, and They're not smart. They have no aptitude. They have nothing going, and they're telling us how to run our country.
Boom.
And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that they start off, now I may be wrong, but, they start off with a big disadvantage. People don't want to have radical lunatics involved in running our country, and that's what we have. We have people that are saying things that are so great. Now they're denying it, or they say, well, I've changed my mind. They want to defund our police. They want to terminate our military. No military. We don't want any military in our country. We don't want our police to be paid anymore. They want our police down to like almost nothing. It's like, doesn't make sense.
I think he wanted to say S-hole countries. Correct me if I'm wrong, DeSantis. So it seemed like it was on the tip of his tongue, was it not?
I think he controlled himself. I think you're right.
Again, Susie Wiles off in the corner shooting laser beams at him with her eyes. He was this close to saying S-hole countries, but he didn't. All right, I'm going to take a short break here. We'll come back, wrap up this hour around the corner. Next hour, we're going to talk with Wendy Patrick. I asked Wendy Patrick if we could talk about something which was brought up yesterday by Casey when he talked about cash and the stores that said they don't want to take cash. And I'm thinking, it's legal tender. What the hell's wrong with you? And I think cash is a good thing to keep alive. And the Tupac Shakur murder trial is starting while jury selection's underway. We'll talk about it. But it's been 30 years since he was shot and killed. Why did it take so long? And what the hell? And of course, your calls if you want to join the conversation. 855-839-1210. It's Opelka on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. There's nothing simple about choosing an engagement ring. Most people don't know where to start. That's why they turn to Family and Company Jewelers on Route 70 in Marlton. JR will walk you through every step: diamonds, settings, styles, and how to choose what actually fits their budget and their partner. There's no pressure and no confusion, just straightforward guidance and a wide selection to compare with confidence. The goal is simple: leave knowing you made the right decision. Family and Company Jewelers in Marlton, New Jersey, South Jersey's diamond destination.
Hey, this is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Listen, I know sometimes you worry about coming to see me because you don't want to invest in real estate, because you don't want to deal with toilets, trash, or tenants. I'm going to teach you a way that you don't have to deal with toilets, trash, or tenants, or even own any real estate and invest in real estate at the same time. You want to learn this, so go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com and take a complimentary class this Thursday, and I promise you, no toilets, no trash, no tenants.
Hey, Royers Ford, remember to tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
It is 4:55. This second hour just flew by. Mike Opelka with you on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. I see the phones are blinking, so let's go to Phil in Delaware. Hello, Phil. Welcome to Talk Radio 1210. What's up?
And good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, sailor. What's cracking? What do you got on your mind?
Well, yeah, I got a little mind left, but a couple of things I got for you. One, I grew up in North Wilmington, so I'm still stuck on where is your favorite chicken sandwich now?
Well, my wife and I call my cooking Grub Road Grub because we're not far from Grub Road. And I think I make the best chicken sandwich in town, but I'm not making it for anybody other than her. And there's one there's one in Philly on 1300 South 17th Street that I read about in the Inquirer today that I have to go try, and it looks great.
Well, the 3rd Street Deli in Philly, even though I was going to say Stanley's, but they make an incredibly great Reuben sandwich, and Irish Eyes down in Lewis.
Oh, I've been to Irish Eyes. Yes. Yeah, that's a great little pub down in Lewis in Lower Slower, Delaware. That's a good call.
Yep. So if you like Reubens, they're the best.
I have sampled their wares. You're a man of good taste.
Now for the funny. You sparked something with St. Peter. Clinton and the Pope passed away at the same time.
Oh boy.
And Clinton went up to heaven first, and all of a sudden he was coming down the escalator and the Pope was going up. And the Pope said, I've been looking forward to going to heaven. I've spent all these years doing great things. And I've especially been looking forward to meeting the Virgin Mary. And Clinton, in his usual, he says, you're a day late.
Oh, I see what you did there. It's a Clinton joke, and I understand what you're doing, Phil. Thank you, Phil. I got to wrap up this hour. Good call on the Irish Eyes down in Lewis. I think I'm going to be there Friday after the show. I might be there, so look for me. Thank you for being here this hour. We have a loaded hour coming up just around the corner. It's Opelka on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Looking for an auto repair shop you can actually trust? McCullough's Auto Repair has been serving Delco since 1999. They believe honesty, fairness, and friendly service still matter. Chuck and Ralph run the place. No matter your car's issue, they'll explain it in plain English and help you decide what really needs to be done now and what can wait. Chuck's motto is, I'll never steer you wrong. Call McCullough's at 610-446-1230 and ask for Chuck or Ralph. Or visit McCullough'sAutoRepair.com.
Summer's coming to an end. Now's the time to get organized. Closet Factory Philadelphia creates custom closets, garages, pantries, and home offices designed around your lifestyle. Schedule your free design consultation today at ClosetFactory.com. Closet Factory Philadelphia.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
For 30 years, nothing controlled my high blood pressure. My doctor, he even said, this is crazy. You're a ticking time bomb.
I was doing research in the field of renal denervation. I brought the procedure to Virtua.
I said, sign me up.
His blood pressure went down significantly.
I was playing hockey again in 3 weeks. It's wonderful, actually.
Virtua Health. Solutions for complex heart conditions. Here for good. Learn more at virtua.org.
Keep your savings on track while you make lasting summer memories with the First Harvest Credit Union Growth Savings Account. Earn up to 3% annual percentage yield with a $1,000 minimum balance. And the best part? No withdrawal penalties. Your money's always there when you need it. Want even more ways to save? Check out our Share and IRA certificates too. Visit firstharvestcu.com/growth savings or stop by a branch to get started. Membership restrictions apply. Insured by NCUA.
Prioritize yourself and make your dream of an attractive, healthy smile a reality at PI Dental Center. The professionals at PI Dental have been transforming patients' smiles for over 38 years. Board-certified specialists, Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, perform complex dental makeovers with their Teeth in a Day protocol, where dental implants are placed and restored with fixed teeth in just 1 day. It's time to invest in yourself. For a smile that's monumental, trust PI Dental. Visit PIDentalCenter.com.
Hi, I'm Paul Cozy from Cozy Jewelers in Newtown Square. At Cozy, we design every piece ourselves, right here, family owned, and with the quality you deserve. People always ask me, Paul, does custom cost more? And I always say no. What costs more is settling for something that won't last. When you work with me directly, you get a piece you'll treasure for generations. Come step up to the 5th C at Cozy Jewelers. That's color, cut, clarity, carat, and cozy.
In Philadelphia, Chase is proud to root for the home team because they're our team too. We cheer from the bleachers and on the sidelines. We cheer for gymnasts and quarterbacks. And with more than 80 local Chase branches and 5,000 nationwide, we are right beside you, Philadelphia. Neighborhood bankers, digital tools, national strength. Chase, make more of what's yours.
JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Hi, this is Larry Steinhaus, and I want to let you know that I buy houses. I buy houses from people that may be a tired landlord, maybe somebody who's having trouble selling their house, or maybe someone who needs to sell their house quickly. Well, all you need to do is call 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137, and I promise to answer the phone and help you with your situation. That's right, your house may be cluttered. It may be a house that a relative left you, or it may just be a house you just want to get rid of. 855-939-1137.
WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Piazza Auto Group Studios, experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now, The Drive at 5. 30 minutes of nonstop talk from Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Turn it up, crank the dial. Mike Opelka is back to make you smile. He's the voice that cuts right through. Back on 1210, Opelka's here for you. The truth has no agenda, and neither does he. So kick back and enjoy the show on WPHT. Mike Opelka's in your town.
Yes, I am, and it is the third hour of the program today. Now, I'm scheduled to be here Tuesday through Friday, but DeSantis, I got a memo. Are we? What days are we going till 7 o'clock?
Well, this was news to me. I actually just found out. I was texting Rich, and he said, "Oh, I'm off Thursday, Friday." And when Rich is off Thursday, Friday, that means that we're in for an extra hour. So we will have a 4-hour show Thursday, Friday this week.
Well, that's good because baby needs a new pair of golf shoes. I'm just saying. So an extra hour means a little extra scarol from the Odyssey people. That means I could get some new, better waterproof shoes, which very much needed these days. If you're playing golf, you know what I'm talking about. It has just been crazy because of all the rain. I'm not complaining because I'm playing golf, which is a good thing. Anyway, so I will be here, God willing, through Friday, and we will be 3 to 6 tomorrow, then 3 to 7 on Thursday, and 3 to 7 on Friday. So we're supersizing the show because how does Zioli, wasn't he? Well, no, that was hospital time, right? This isn't hospital time again. This is vacation time.
Yeah, I think he's just taking time off.
Okay. He's allowed. He's going to hear this. He's going to yell at me.
He's probably listening right now.
Hello, Richard. How are you? Your show is on right after this show. And in less than an hour, Rich Zioli will be here with his fantastic program. Maybe we'll get him tomorrow. We should get him tomorrow. But you put out a call to him. We also,
he
like
usually
I said,
doesn't answer my phone calls or text messages. But yeah, he screened. No, I'm just kidding. I'll message him right now. I'm sure he'll be willing to do it.
Well, he's a bigger name now because he's got all that Fox News time. Does he have an office there yet?
He should have one, yeah. He should have an apartment there, too, I think.
No, you don't. You don't want an apartment in New York because Mamdani will tax it. It'll be a pied-à-terre.
Yeah.
He'll get in trouble for having a second residence in New York and not living there full time, and then he'll have another reason to could be kvetching about everything. Which, why not? We should do Kvetch Wednesday tomorrow. Everybody can call in and kvetch about everything. That's my street Yiddish. In case you didn't know, it's Yiddish for bitching about something. We have a lot to keep our eyes on. The media is kind of watching all of the primaries that are happening today. It's the only one that seems to have a real question is the South Carolina GOP Senate primary, where you have like 17,000 people running to replace Lindsey Graham, and one of them is Lindsey's sister, who's already got the gig. She was appointed. And I was hoping that would be temporary, but you've also got the former governor, former congressman, Mark Sanford. He's the guy who was hiking the Appalachian Trail with his sweetheart when they were actually somewhere in South America. That was the craziest story. And I think he and his wife got back together, which I just don't understand how that happens, especially after you hike the Appalachian Trail with somebody and leave the country. And it became such a gigantic story. Also, in the world of politics, do you have DeSantis? I think this just happened on CNN in the last 30 minutes. Scott Jennings is talking about having a phone conversation with Mitch McConnell.
Another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me hunt it down. I'll have it.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Jennings. Mitch McConnell needs to either show up for work or he needs to call into the Senate. This entire madness of him playing this charade out for all these months and not doing his job, and now he's been released to home. There's not been any video of Mitch McConnell. We don't have proof of life. And the photograph of McConnell with his wife, Elaine Chao, from weeks and weeks and weeks ago, does anyone believe that? No. This is really not fair to the voters. But, if they're happy with it, I guess I don't have anything I can grouse about. I just think it makes Republicans look bad. It's definitely not a good look. Now, Democrats are doing everything they can do to make themselves look bad, and they're doing a fine job of it. So we should actually have a meeting where we all get together and say, let's try and be better. In the words of the First Lady, be best. We should be best, but we're not being best. We're being stupid, in my opinion. And McConnell's at the tippy top of that. If he's not able to do the job, he should have stepped aside. It's wrong. But as I said, the Democrats are doing a good job making themselves look horrible. And no better example of that than Abdul El Sayed. Am I supposed to be calling him Abdul Al-Rahim El Sayed? DeSantis, am I supposed to use his entire Muslim name?
Well,
or is that racist?
If you don't use his entire name, then you're not allowed to speak about him at all. I believe that was his argument. So I think you got to include it.
So Abdul Rahman El Sayed, Prince Abu Ben Bubi, I'm not sure what his real name is. He's been making the rounds and talking about his plan for Medicare for All, which Bernie Sanders has been talking about Medicare for All. AOC has been talking about Medicare for All. And by the way, we're now calling AOC. Do you know what AOC stands for?
What? I'm afraid to ask.
You should be afraid to ask. I used to say Alexandria Occasionally Coherent, but somebody else coined this today, and I'm stealing it. Always on camera. That's what AOC stands for now, because she's always on camera. She's on camera freezing her eggs. Why do we need to know about you freezing your eggs? Why do we need to see you lift your shirt and inject yourself with some sort of fertility thing that's going to make you freeze your eggs? And what's the plan on the eggs? When are you going to harvest them? When are you thinking about having this baby? Because you told us that the planet was going to end in 2031. I checked my watch. That's 5 years from now. So you're freezing your eggs to have a child just before the end of the planet? Is that what's going on? But AOC is one of the proponents of Medicare for all. Bernie's been a huge proponent for Medicare for all, which means it would end private health insurance. And this is worse than Obama saying if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. No, you're going to be stuck with government doctors. But El-Sayed was forced to admit that the Medicare for all scheme, and it is a scheme, it might even be close to a scam, would ultimately involve raising taxes on every single American. Cut 6, please.
Americans worry, though, you can only make Medicare free and universal if you increase taxes. So if you are elected and make this push, would you need to increase taxes?
As I've said across this campaign, I am for taxing billionaires their wealth.
What about people who make less than $1 billion and less than $1 million, though, Dr. El-Sayed? What about people making less than $1 million?
So for the average person, and you look at your W-2, if you're an employee who gets paid every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, after you pay your taxes, the next biggest check that comes off the top of your pay stub is to your health insurance company. So imagine instead of paying that to your health insurance company, whose CEO makes $20 million a year, instead you paid a little bit more in taxes for health care that you wouldn't lose if you lost your job or turned 26 or got married or got divorced. I think all of us would be a lot more interested in that kind of a system if we knew that our health care would be free at the point of care and would be free without having to worry about losing it in general. So there's an opportunity here, I think, to trade what we give to a big corporation who gets to decide who we get to see and who we don't for a little bit more paid into FICA. And I think that's a trade that's worth making. I think
No to Abdul Rahman El-Sayed. There's no bigger corporation than the United States government, biggest employer in the country. So, no, I think this is a bad idea, really bad idea. It's going to end up being costly. It's going to end up being worse. All you need to do is look to America's hat, Canada, America's favorite suburb. Their healthcare system is what you're talking about. And they run out of money every year, sometime in the fall. Sometimes it's late August, sometimes it's September. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough providers. People are waiting months and months and months to have knee operations. And if they're in so much pain and they can't wait, the government offers them the pill, which will get rid of all their pain forever. And they only have to take it once. It's called the dirt nap. Not a good idea. Abdul Rahman El-Sayed also is not a fan of football, although I'm wondering if he thinks of it as soccer. No, he probably is talking about American football.
Football is very much associated with a particularly masculine and oftentimes toxically masculine culture, and so much of it was about you wanted to be able to get back up and play for your team, and you really aren't allowed to show pain or vulnerability. That's part of the sport.
Anybody who talks about toxic masculinity should get a swirly. I'm just saying. That should be the punishment. Abdul Rahman El-Sayed, the mandatory full name pronunciation, also was talking about one of the squad members who's now considered more reasonable, although she's the one with the potty mouth who yells all kind of stuff at public meetings. I'm talking about Rashida Tlaib, talking about how Rashida Tlaib is like, she's his older sister.
So I got to grow up watching Rashida be an elected official.
Yeah.
All right. So Rashida's like my older sister. Every time I make a mistake, I just get the text messages like very much older sister energy, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'd be right.
No, I apologize. I care enough.
Well, no, but the point that I'm making is, what better joy and appreciation than to have somebody who's looking out for you, who's been there before.
See, they've accepted him. They've brought him under their wing. The old squad, which is now considered to be the legitimate center of the party. I'm not sure. DeSantis, we're having a little show meeting on the air here. DeSantis, do we have the clip where AOC talks about the Overton window?
I do not, but if you give me 2 seconds, I'll add it.
Yeah, she was talking about the Overton window, and I think she doesn't understand what I was having a conversation in text with Rich this morning, because when we're up early, we're going back and forth on show topics, and the Overton window concept is a concept of understanding the center of politics, because everything changes. You know, the pendulum swings left and right, and sometimes it's in the middle. Well, the Overton window is effectively the middle of all political thought and where any issue is at any time. And the Overton window shifts left or right, and it does this. It's just the natural course of things. Nothing stays static. And as populations age or get younger, the Overton window will shift to reflect the political leanings of the majority. And in this case, the Overton window has shifted far left with the influx of the Democrat socialists. And by that, then what used to be really radical is now the middle. So Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, the core of the squad from a decade ago, are now the center of the Democrat Party. And that's the basis, or the simple understanding that I have of the Overton window. If somebody's got a better explanation of it, throw it in the YouTube chat. I'll make sure we clarify. I think that's how that works out. But AOC doesn't understand what the Overton window is. She's not a smart person. So go ahead and roll it if you got that clip.
What was it? I mean, did the movement go too far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns. Yeah. And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. And I actually think that the discussions that were had in that time were quite fruitful. I think that when we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way that we talked about crime in bringing crime down, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that we all share in the goals of having as low a crime rate as possible. I think that, during lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today. And I'm grateful that these candidates have the opportunity to present who they are to their electorate and what they're campaigning on in this moment.
DeSantis, you see what I'm talking about there? She says, well, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. It opened right up and people climbed right in.
Maybe she thinks it's an actual window.
Yeah, she thinks there's a window somewhere at the Overton house where you could climb in when nobody's looking. She doesn't understand the political concept. She is a dolt. She's an absolute dolt. And if you haven't seen it, she did freeze her eggs, or is in the process of freezing her eggs. I'm not sure why you would do this, but just give me the first part of this clip where she's on there freezing her eggs.
My insurance does not cover one penny of this. It is 100% out of pocket. It doesn't go to my deductible, nothing. It covers nothing. So there's two main sources of costs. So you don't just pay one lump sum to the doctor. You pay for the medicine, and then you also pay your clinic and for the procedure. So there's two costs of it. Some places are very expensive. I'm going to a place in New York City that specifically designs options for women who don't have insurance covering it. And so my grand total personally for me, all in, is going to be probably between $8,000 to $9,000. Number one, there is so much negative messaging that is directed towards women around our family choices, period. Kind of no matter what choice you make, if you have kids, when you have kids, whatever, there's so much negativity. And it is designed to dysregulate women, to put us in a place of fear or insecurity so that we are making choices out of that place. We're not doing that. All of these men, oftentimes, who are saying, oh, if you haven't had a kid by 30, like, you're done, it's just not supported.
Here's what I don't understand. Why she just doesn't have a child? If she wants to have a child, isn't the best time to have a child today? I know she's got a job. She's going to have a job forever. We are never going to be without AOC in politics. You have members of Congress who have given birth. Tammy Duckworth doesn't have her legs, and she got pregnant and had a kid while she was in the Senate. I don't understand this, and she's trying to turn it into a political positive for herself. And in terms of making having a child a negative thing and using fear, I think this is a party angle. This is an absolute party angle. The Democrats are the party of making sure you can abort a child right up to birth. I think you have the clip, DeSantis, of the governor of Massachusetts signing the bill yesterday. Do you have that?
I don't have it handy, but give me 2 seconds. I'll load it.
Yeah. The governor of Massachusetts yesterday announced that the state, which had a restriction on abortion at 24 weeks, so if you were pregnant, you were allowed to have an abortion. Legally, you could choose to have an abortion. I disagree with it. I'm sorry. I think you're killing a human being at that point. But you used to be able to do it up to 24 weeks, and we know pain is felt much earlier than that. We know brain activity is happening. We know heartbeats are able to be heard. We know the DNA is already formed. But, whatever your choice will be. Well, yesterday, the state of Massachusetts, which I'm just stunned this didn't get much more attention, the governor held a signing ceremony, to announce that state had passed a law making it illegal now to terminate a pregnancy, to kill a child up until the moment of birth. And they applauded it in her office. These people are ghouls. This is perhaps one of the saddest things I've ever heard of. It's terrible. But I need to understand the AOC thinking. And again, I'm not a parent, but Karen in Bluebell is checking in on the show. Karen, you want to educate me on this? Welcome.
Sure. It's very difficult. These girls that are trying to get pregnant in their late 20s, late 30s, they are taking their eggs and they're freezing them.
Sure.
Her eggs, they're freezing. It's not a cheap endeavor. But this way, when she wants to have a child, she can. And there's nothing wrong with it. She announced it. She shouldn't have, maybe. But, God, these girls are having a hard time. Processed foods, they're late. It's just a pain in the tush, more or less to say. So I think what she did was commendable. A lot of girls are doing it.
Well,
I know a lot of girls that are doing it. I'm old enough. I'm not have to do it anymore. But yeah, they are. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I didn't say there's anything wrong with it, but I question her politicizing it because she has good insurance. She has a good job. She's not going to lose, and she could choose to have that child now if she wanted to have the child, but she's going to make this a political issue.
I have a question. How old is she? She's 38. Is that right?
No, I don't think she's 35 yet. I'm gonna.
Okay.
36. She's
so
36.
She's 36. That's considered like a geriatric pregnancy now. Do you
Really?
know that? So
I did not know that.
Their girls are getting pregnant later in life, and they're having a really, really hard time. So what they're doing is they're having an option. It's not cheap, like I said. She said, what was it, 10 grand, 19 grand?
Yeah, let's say 10 grand, 8 to 9 grand. She said, yeah.
And they take the healthiest eggs out of her. They freeze them. And that way, when she wants to have a child, she'll be able to have a child without going through am I going to get pregnant? Am I not going to get pregnant? It's halfway through IVF, but not quite. And I think it's great.
Karen, that's cool. And I appreciate you calling in and educating me on it. But let me ask you this question. You bring this up. You say she's 36. If she were to get pregnant today, it'd be a geriatric pregnancy.
It is
okay, so let's say she freezes these eggs.
Because women in the day...
Karen, 1 second.
Yeah.
She freezes the eggs, and then in 2 years, she's now 38, and she decides...
That's correct. And she's going to be able to have a child. That's correct. They'll be able to do the DNA with those eggs and be able to implant them. That's correct.
I get that, but what makes having a child at 38 better than having a child at 36?
It doesn't. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying she decided that she was going to be proactive instead of not. And I think that's terrific. The problem is a lot of insurances don't pay it. She said it. It doesn't pay for it. There's a huge thing in New York City that they do it. It is $10,000. Slice it and dice it. If you go back and look at a 60-minute, they did it on 60 Minutes like last year or a year and a half ago. Okay. And it's pretty informative what these girls are doing. And I think it's awesome.
Well, that's good. And I appreciate you educating me, but I just don't understand if she's 36 now. Yes, the egg is frozen. It'll be a fertilized egg that's frozen. And if you come back in 2 years, her body now, which was geriatric at 36, is going to be 38. Isn't that tougher to have a baby at 38 than at 36? I don't understand who's counseling her. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, but it gives her coverage so she doesn't have to freak out every time. That this way it's already done and she'll be able to have a kid. Good for her.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you. Thank you for the clarification on this. I am educated beyond what I was before we talked. I appreciate you being there. And here's what I was talking about with the governor of the state of Massachusetts, Maura Healey. She has a bill she's signing which will allow the abortion of children up until birth. And again, Massachusetts used to have a 24-week exclusion, and they're showing them signing. And there are a bunch of women gathered around the table in the governor's office clapping. I'm sorry, I don't think that's a celebration. I think that's a sad achievement. I have more with the AOC that we'll get to just around the corner, but I also need to take a break because our good friend Wendy Patrick, the lifetime prosecutor, author, she's got great stuff that she writes in Psychology Today and wants to weigh in on a couple of issues. I asked her about the legal tender issue that was brought up yesterday when Casey was here talking about the fast food joint that said, we're not taking cash anymore. We're just taking cards. And that troubled me because I'm a cash advocate. And this trial of the alleged killer of Tupac Shakur, 30 years? Why did it take so long? Crazy stuff. It's Opelka. It's Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Free speech lives here. With Don Stensland, 10 till noon. On Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210, WPHT.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Babbel proudly presents The Bookstore Bungle.
Librairie means library in French, right?
Yeah, obviously.
I just love a library.
The French are so loud, though.
Yeah. Hey, be quiet. This is a library. S'il vous plaît.
Ce n'est pas une bibliothèque.
Bibliothèque? I think that's Spanish, ma'am.
You are in a bookstore, not a library.
Oh.
No more bookstore bungles with Babbel.
Touriste.
Learn to speak like a local and act like one too. Practice with Babbel's guided conversations based on real situations. Get up to 50% off on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com to get up to 50% off. Babbel.com.
Hey, it's Mike Quick. It's time to cut your old point-of-sale systems and revolutionize your business with PDQ POS. Joe Flynn and his team at PDQ have been the industry leaders for over 35 years. They offer everything from mobile POS to self-serve kiosks and the best service and support in the industry. For the fastest, easiest, and most reliable POS available, trust PDQ POS. No matter how many locations you have, they'll build a custom solution for your business. Visit pdqpos.com.
This is Len Lundy of Lundy Law. When we say we hope you're never injured in a slip and fall accident, we mean it. But if you suffer an injury, we will work quickly and tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. And when we also say it won't cost you a dime up front, we mean it. Remember our name, Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW or visit lundylaw.com.
My obstructive hypertrophic cardiomyopathy kept me from baseball games with my boys. The stairs were too much. With Camzyos, my symptoms have improved and I can be more active again. Camzyos is a cardiac myosin inhibitor, the first in its class to treat adults with symptomatic OHCM. Camzyos may improve your symptoms and ability to be active, and it reduced obstruction in the heart 4 times more.
In a 30-week study, Camzyos, mavacamten, reduced post-exercise obstruction on average 47 units of pressure versus 10 with placebo. Results may vary. Camzyos may cause serious side effects, including heart failure that can lead to death, a risk that's increased with serious infection, irregular heartbeat, or with certain other medicines. Do not stop, start, or change medicines or dose without telling your doctor. You must have echocardiograms before and during treatment. Seek help for new or worsening heart failure symptoms. Camzyos is only available through a restricted program. Before taking, tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and current or planned pregnancy, as Camzyos may harm your unborn baby.
Visit Camzyos.com or call 1-855-CAMZYOS. Actor Portrayal.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and newnordicusa.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Broadcasting live from the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
I'm getting a little nervous here. I don't know if we could play the lyrics here for the Tupac song.
Don't worry. This is just the instrumental.
Okay. Whew. I just got here. I still have a few more days this week. Thanks for looking out. It's Mike Opelka, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. I love smart people. And 9 out of 10 people, or maybe 99 out of 100 people in the YouTube chat are smart people. But there are some proctological nuisances. And I suspect they're funded by George Soros. And I wish they could learn how to spell, but they can't. Surrogate is not spelled Soragate, genius. Just saying. It is a very interesting day. We have all these primaries we're keeping our eyes on. We're watching local news that's happening. We're watching national news that's happening. We're watching the jury selection out in Clark County, Las Vegas, where the murder trial is happening. The murder trial of Dwayne Keefe D, or Keefe D. Davis, as he's known in the hood, accused of killing Tupac Shakur 30 years ago. We will get to that because I want to get a breakdown from somebody who knows. My friend, career prosecutor, great writer, all around great personality. You've seen her on television. She is regularly seen on the Trace Gallagher's late news show on Fox and on Newsmax. Her name is Wendy Patrick, and you should follow her on Twitter X at Wendy Patrick PhD. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Mike. It's always a pleasure to join you.
I am glad you are here, Wendy. Yesterday I sent the bat signal up because I'm listening to Casey talk about a restaurant that says, hey, we want your business. We want to make our food for you and sell it to you, but don't you dare try to use that American currency, those greenbacks. We don't even want change. We don't want dollar bills. We don't want change. We're only taking credit cards or debit cards. And I just thought, this infuriated me. I thought, wait a minute. This money says it's a legal tender for all business. It doesn't say business. But Wendy, can you as a business, can you say, I'm sorry, we're not taking your money. You have to pay us in shekels or gold or Bitcoin or credit cards?
Yes, it is generally legal for restaurants to decide the ways in which they're going to accept payment. Now, I have to say that, some people think about national laws like paying debts, those types of things where you have to be able to pay it however you can. But that's not true when it comes to private establishments. And you are right. Lots of people believe that cash is king, but not everybody. And I have to say, this is a trend that I've been seeing, and I've been listening to voices just like you're explaining that just don't think it's right. What do? They can take to social media and damage the business of restaurants, of retail stores, of whoever else decides whether they either are only going to accept cash or whether they never will.
Yeah, see, this is one of those things I think you need to do the public relations calculus on. When you put, if you're saying, hey, cash is just too much trouble. We have to count it. We have to put it in a safe. But if we take your card, it immediately goes into our account. It's instantly transferred. I'm one of the people who doesn't like the idea of using only plastic just because I don't like the idea of digital money being able to be monitored and or manipulated. We're seeing energy systems, water systems, utility systems that are getting hacked by nefarious agencies from around the world. And I wonder if the same kind of vulnerability could be lingering out there for digital and digital payments. And so that's why
absolutely.
I've got cash. I've always got cash on me. Not a lot. Don't get any ideas, people. I'm also a Second Amendment guy. But I always keep cash around because cash is king, and I believe it's a wise thing. So if I'm a consumer, Wendy, I really don't have standing if I want to go to this restaurateur and go, hey, I want to use cash. I'm going to sue you if you won't sell me a hamburger for cash.
Not unless there's a local ordinance that mandates that brick and mortars take cash. And I say that because that is getting to be a trend as well. As there are lots of people that feel just the way you do and say, why wouldn't I? Why shouldn't I be able to pay however I want to pay? And so municipalities, cities have enacted ordinances, and they're popping up everywhere that basically say, hey, if you want your business in this city, you have to accept cash. Now, the other side of the coin is this. Obviously, there's a safety concern, as you just mentioned. Keeping less paper money on site lowers the risk of theft or robbery. That's one of the reasons that you go into a liquor store, 7-Eleven, Circle K, whatever it is, and occasionally they have, these signs that say, teller only keeps bank teller. I'm showing my age. The cashier has a sign that basically says, we only have $20 in cash. Now, everybody knows that's not true, so maybe that's not effective. But it just goes to show you some of the rationale behind why a business would want to go just credit card. Think about this also. You know, you can only automate so much. You can have AI do a number of things for your business, but you can't have it drive the cash to the bank and deposit it. I should say not yet, unless you want to put it in a Waymo. But those are the kinds of things that really are driving this disagreement between people like you that say, hey, cash is king, and others that say, oh, it's only about earning points. With my point program, I will only go credit card. And some people boast about having gone cashless, but not everybody, as we're just seeing in respect to the post you're mentioning.
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic, and I'm getting hit as we are discussing this. As I'm talking about this with our attorney friend, Wendy Patrick, I'm getting hit with messages from our friend Guy Shiraki going, hey, it's a safety issue in major cities. Businesses don't want to have their staff getting jumped when they're leaving work to deposit the day's take, as you say. I also, Wendy, the conspiratorial side of me says this is the way the government can force a lot of cash-only underground businesses to come to the surface and maybe pay their taxes on the businesses they're operating, because there may be a cash economy that's running underground the credit or a digital currency economy. Could it be that we're trying to force those people into paying their fair share, as is the phrase that pays among the democratic socialists?
You know, it's so interesting that we're talking about all these different theories as to why you either would or wouldn't want cash. I'll give you another one. Most people I know won't even accept a payment, even if they're having a garage sale with a bill above $20. They won't even take a $50 bill because everybody thinks it's just gotten too easy to manipulate currency and pass fake money. And none of us, not all of us work in law enforcement to where we're trained on recognizing the watermarks if the professionals can even do it. So that would be an additional reason, usually not one-sided, but I happen to know it is already, it's been years that people have all these little tricks that they use to see if the $100 bill that you're passing, and I know you don't carry anything, it's all ones and fives, my God, so like you said, no ideas. But these are some of the other reasons that there really is an ongoing debate among retailers that unless you live in one of those cities where you have to be able to accept more than just credit card currency, that you're going to have to take cash. Let me just toss one other thing here at the end. It's also become a trend that you see some businesses start charging for the use of any credit card in any amount. Legally, they've got to tell you they're going to be doing that. So, buyer beware, I suppose, is the lesson here from a story like this. However you're going to pay, make sure that it is not going to unjustly either take more or less money from you than it actually says on the price tag.
See, this irritates me when somebody says, oh, by the way, we're going to make you pay with plastic and we're going to add more money to it because we're having to pay to process your transaction with plastic. And I'll ask flat out, how much for cash? Right, just how much for cash? If I can break it. I actually bought a car recently in the past month, and I actually asked, how much if I bring in cash to finish this transaction? And they looked at me like, are you crazy? It's just one of those things. I'm a big believer in the cash. I also keep, I keep a little gold, I keep a little silver, I keep a little lead to protect the gold and silver.
As you should.
Yeah, right. You got to do these things.
Got to do it.
It really irritates me that this happens. And we didn't even get into the tipping thing, Wendy, because that's also the other side of it. Is now we have a restaurant that is saying if you're using the self-serve kiosk and you're not going to tip, the cost of the item is being raised, but automatically.
Please.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We knew that was coming, didn't we? Because there was a lot of pushback where if you're just ordering from a kiosk or you're just going to the counter and delivering, you pick your sandwich, you ring it up and you give them a tip for ringing up your sandwich. You know what? I do have to say, the pendulum has got to start swinging in this economy, that these types of things are popping up everywhere. And you point out one of the best ways in which people are fighting back, and that's going online and letting everybody else know, because we're all tightening our belts, here's the list of places you don't want to go because they're going to make you more of a punch in the pocketbook than it already is.
The reputational cost is sometimes a lot bigger than the actual cost that the employer sees or the business sees happening. All right, let's talk about Tupac Shakur. I got to tell you, never a giant fan of Tupac, but I have a dear friend who is a hip-hop maniac, and today is National Hip Hop Day because it was created in 1973 back at a party in the Bronx or something. And so I'm reading that, and I'm reading, well, this jury selection's happening in the Tupac Shakur trial, and I'm thinking that happened before the attack on America on September 11th. It's 30 years ago. Was this a cold case, Wendy, that suddenly got hot, and now we've got a trial happening?
That's exactly right. Mike, we warm up cold cases now and then in the prosecution world. And I have to say, one of the ways, probably one of the simplest ways that we end up warming them up is when the defendant starts talking about having committed the crime, as the defendant did in this case. But we need more than that. Prosecutors can't just go on somebody's word that they committed a certain crime and charge a case. You need what's called corpus, independent evidence of the crime other than what somebody says. So warming up a cold case often happens in cases like this where, ironically, the defendant is the prosecution's best witness. Obviously, you can't call him as a witness because it's a criminal case, but think about how odd that sounds. You know, you had somebody that was repeatedly talking about having been involved in the killing. He said it in his 2019 memoir. He said it recently, and that was the impetus for the prosecutors relooking at the case, bringing it up, and charging it. So, yes, we are talking about it 30 years ago. One of the other tools that prosecutors have in warming up cases this old is think about the forensic advancements that's happened in the last 3 decades.
Oh, yeah.
They are now able to test pieces of evidence that wouldn't have been conclusive one way or another back in the 90s when this happened, but are today. You have to believe that's what they're going to be doing. A jury selection is going to last about a week, but then the show begins. And whatever music you listen to, it is going to be very interesting to hear how 30 years in the future they're going to be able to resurrect a case this old.
So how big is the evidence locker in Las Vegas that they've got all this stuff? They must have the cars that were involved in the shooting. They must have all. This is crazy. And this guy, the lesson is, if you're going to be a criminal, don't tell the story. He wrote a book, Compton Street Legend. He wrote a book.
It reminds us of the jinx. Remember, there's lots of different defendants around the country that have done exactly this. Has talked about having committed the crime. You know, it's not all going to be like O.J. Simpson, if I did it, because he was acquitted. These are cases where no one's been charged until somebody starts bragging about the crime. Now, remember that the defendant in this case is not charged with pulling the trigger. He's charged with providing the weapon. So it's a little bit different when in terms of evidence lockers and what you might need. Sometimes, believe it or not, Mike, I've tried murder cases as a prosecutor in just a couple of days. They're not always intensely complicated if you have the right kind of evidence. That is not going to be the case here because, as you mentioned, we've already heard that you have a couple weeks of trial. So, yes, there is probably an evidence locker somewhere, but we really don't know completely how that's going to unfold. Now the defense does because discovery, they have to turn everything over. But the general public doesn't really know. I can tell you they're going to be watching with much anticipation because we may be in for some surprises.
Well, the question I have, you got Suge Knight, who's still serving 28 years on a different crime. You've got P. Diddy, who's behind bars, and he's been making trouble in his incarceration. He's been in solitary confinement. When both of those guys are possibly called, will they be flown out to Vegas or will they testify remotely on video?
Well, remember, that is one of the questions you often ask when someone's incarcerated. And you're right, Suge Knight does not want to testify. You have lots of different types of problems if you're transporting people to testify live. But here's the other side of that coin. I've prosecuted prison crimes and put, inmates on the stand. And what does that do? That gives the jury an opportunity to judge their credibility. I hate to say up close and personal because that's one of the safety issues. That's one of the reasons that would go in favor of allowing remote testimony. But it all depends on, who it is. And depends on the kind of thing somebody's incarcerated for. It depends on the configuration of the room of the cases being heard in. I mean, there are so many different things nowadays that law enforcement can do to mitigate the danger and maximize the ability for jurors to be able to judge the credibility of witnesses. So that'll be an analysis that's why judges make the big bucks. That's a joke. Judges don't make the kind of money people think they do, unless it's Judge Judy, your favorite judge.
That's right.
Those are all of the sort of components and factors that are going to go into deciding how do we have the jury hear from these guys.
Now, will this be, I have not even looked into this, Wendy, is this televised? Do you think we'll be able to watch this as it happens?
Well, that's another thing that could change in a minute is obviously federal trials are not televised, but state trials often are. And when you have cases that are big like this, it might be the case that one wrong move and a judge is going to say, you know what, this has gotten too big and I'm not going to allow cameras in the courtroom even if they're legally required. I guarantee as this trial moves forward from jury selection into presentation of the evidence, let's you and I regroup, because once we get towards opening statement, we're going to learn a lot more about how this case is going to unfold, both legally, evidence-wise, and then procedurally, how much we're actually going to be able to monitor this from outside the courtroom.
It's very interesting. Thank you for opening the doors on this one, Wendy. I will definitely pull on your sleeve in the future. Her name is Wendy Patrick. Find her on Twitter X. Great stuff in Psychology Today as well. A lot of great relationship and sociological issues studied there. Thank you, my friend. Always appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.
There she goes. And I have to get out of here, too. I know that the Suge Knight testimony, the Puffy testimony, this isn't exactly politics, but this is a real interesting case. And we have to have a little more than politics in our lives, don't we? We do. I want to say special thanks to DeSantis for scrambling so much today, and Justin, and everybody who joined us today. Well, everybody but the Emperor in the chat room. I appreciate you. It's Zioli on deck. Opelka back tomorrow. Till next time, I'm reminding you to enjoy every sandwich and testudo, my friends. Testudo.
Hey, John, why so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid